Alright, so
I see how.
now we
I
are
was
streaming.
Blame my crappy laptop. Oh,
Wait, repeat what we
sorry,
did
I missed
earlier.
it the first time. So.
Alright, so now it is streaming
Oh,
and
great.
recording. So while we give it like 30 seconds for people to come in, I'll be right back.
yeah. He's
Alright.
leaving us.
There we go. I'm gonna open it up.
Alright.
I need to mute
I'm gonna tweet this minute.
Why is there an ad for a live thing?
That was really fast. We have one person watching, and one person already gave it a like.
Woo!
Legend
Thanks,
of Aiden
guy,
says
person.
hi.
Wow, hey
Hello,
buddy. Thanks
Aiden.
for liking us. I
Teddy
like
bear.
that.
Hoi, sku, whoever that is.
What?
I'm
What?
trying to pronounce all of their weird
Teddy
names.
bear. Hoitsk!
That's what I said.
Hoitsk!
Willie Willerton.
What if Oofle came and watched? Could you imagine?
Oh my
Over
goodness. if
9,000
Oofle-
goat. Chucko
Oofle
Brando.
and Fro could join in this stream, I'd get very excited. Okay, here we go to Twitter.
Oh my.
It's all caps.
Okay, I'll let you tweet it, and then I will retweet your tweet. Tweet.
Yeah, there's already like a flood of comments coming in.
Sluggish, though.
Yeah,
I'm heckin' hungry, guys.
Oh.
Dude, I just ate like
Me
10
too.
pepperonis.
Ooh. I know I just had
Okay.
spagoot, but I'm still hungry.
Oh, I miss pasta.
Gesundheit.
It was a hiccup.
Oh, I thought that was your laugh at me missing pasta.
Oh no, that was a hiccup.
When I hiccup, I sound like a squeaker toy.
Twitter does not like me. My computer hates me, guys.
That
It's
is
very
unfortunate.
upsetting. It's very upsetting.
I never named my laptop, and I actually was planning on naming my Switch, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Oh.
Like, the first thing I thought when I pulled it out was, this is so beautiful, I must name it. And I never came up with a name.
Oh.
I'm working on it.
Yes. Okay.
Because I named all my instruments except my ocarina and my drumstick. They don't
What
have
did you
names yet.
What'd you name them? Quickly, tell us everything.
My guitar is Tegan because it sounds like the Irish word for string, and my ukulele is oh shoot, what's my ukulele name? Lily, and my glockenspiel is named Seraphim, which is a type of angel, but I haven't named my drumstick or my ocarina.
Picking up words now. I don't know what a Glockenspiel is.
A glockenspiel.
It's a xylophone.
Whoa, Daniel. Close off your
just-
video and turn it back on.
My
Yeah, there's-
YouTube video?
No, your video for your Discord chat. There's like a 1 second delay between your mouth opening and words coming out.
That's just how I talk normally. I mean, you guys have only ever noticed.
It's
Now.
like the joke about Bigfoot. It's like all the pictures are actually in really good focus. It's just Bigfoot's naturally.
Oh my
blurry.
gosh. Daniel.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
So
That
for
looks-
whatever reason, I have like the YouTube on, and you know, like the closed captions,
Mhm.
they're on, and
Oh.
it like every time we say something, it's like terribly wrong. It was talking about how Ilya hadn't named her drumstick or her ocarina. What's your drumstick?
My drumstick.
Yeah, her drumstick.
Yeah.
And when I hear drumstick, I think like chicken drumstick.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
I had chicken earlier.
Oh my gosh, this is
Good.
funny. I didn't know you could do closed caption on this stuff.
Oh no. On
I think
live
it's new because we had someone that wanted to watch in a different language.
What? You can do that?
just
Jesse, I
translate
asked
everything
you
everyone says to
about
German.
it.
I'm loving this closed captioning. I'm just watching it.
So funny.
Drumstick or her ocarina, what's stuck? Yeah, it hurts. What? Drumstick, yeah, and when I hear drumstick, I think I like chicken. Drumstick. Oh, yeah, I had chicken earlier. Okay, this is actually lining up pretty well here and there.
Nice. Okay, good.
Maybe it was while we were talking at the same time.
That's
Maybe.
yeah, because there's no like punctuation. Ask everyone I'm loving this.
Also, everyone watching has to excuse this lame background because I'm hiding in the bedroom. This is my closet door. So, the secret's out.
Post in the Discord for people to ask questions.
Okay. I will do that just to tell everyone. Post in questions.
Yeah.
In the
Sorry, I'm getting such a kick out of the closed caption every now and again.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. I love it.
What is
The closed caption. It's just.
It's great.
Yeah. I can't believe we had up to like 70 people at one point watching us yesterday morning, and it was so early.
They weren't there for us.
Oh,
Yeah, it was for Zelda.
Let's
True.
be
Yeah. But still. And now we have the other champions coming on.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, I think we're ready as soon as everyone else gets ready.
Are we ready?
I imagine. I don't make the rules though, so.
Oh. Yeah, that's Daniel. Daniel's boss man.
Daniel's son.
Hey, so make sure you actually read out the patrons.
Yeah, we should do that. We should make sure that that gets done. I like how Discord now, when I try and post everyone, it like gives me a prompt.
Hey,
It's like a little
sure you
pop-up
wanna
comes up.
do
It's
that?
like, hey man, are you sure you want to ping over 1,000 people right now?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do that, buddy? The answer
I mean,
is yes. I do
fair.
want to do that.
Alright, we ready?
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Also, RMFH, Rick, my friendhood. I'm not on the toilet.
It's on
So,
the toilet.
I see you in the chat, buddy.
Daniel's on the toilet.
I'm sorry, I'm killing myself laughing
Mary,
because of Rick.
Who's Daniel? We are all Daniel.
Yeah, we
Who's
will.
Daniel? Daniel's this guy. This guy? I don't know which side he's on with me.
Yeah, he's
Josh, I don't
below
even know
me.
how to point that direction.
I am Daniel. I am Spartacus.
I'd have to point towards that corner of the bed. So down here.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Ilya is so. I don't know if
Oh,
it's
smart.
everybody, but for me, you're very quiet.
Who's
Who
quiet?
Ilya is quiet.
Oh yeah, she's quiet for me too.
Dang
Okay.
it. Hold on.
Hey everybody watching this live right now, how's everybody's audio sound to you guys?
Yeah, before we officially begin, let us know.
Yes.
Also,
Rick
I
is
apologize
winking
to
at me.
everyone. I'm sitting outside and it's kind of windy. Winny.
It's winny. Everyone's winning outside right now.
It's kind of windy. So
Victory
if
is
you hear a
about.
gust of wind, it's because I'm outside.
I've
Victory
made
is
my
about.
microphone go up higher.
Good.
Oh, that's better.
Like actual levels.
Yeah,
says,
I can
"I'm
see the
discount
top of it.
Daniel." Rick says
Sitting
he's
on two
discount Daniel.
Sims.
No, Rick, you're not discount Daniel. You're my brother.
Brother Daniel.
According to our viewers and my Instagram followers, Rick is my brother.
Brother Daniel. Like the Goron's brother.
Scorcha Music says, "Welcome to the Daniel Podcast, Episode 1." Hell yes!
No. See, like, in terms of, like...
So Tevi says that Daniel could come up a little bit more. Rick says it sounds good, so they can fight to the death about that one.
Right.
I
I
know,
think
Jesse,
this
just
might
it,
be
right?
as good as it can get.
Like,
Like, for it to... Hold on.
I should take this opportunity to actually read our Google Doc, showing what our
Oh god.
little
I kind
plan
of
is.
skimmed it.
Do you want me to do the little intro and shout versus that? My volume could go up a little bit. Who are you talking about, Teddy Bear?
I
Oh,
had to
Daniel.
close the podcast, and then we started back. So if it went out for like 2 seconds, that's why.
No. Oh, there it goes.
Oh.
Alright. So... someone said everyone sounds good. Alright.
Okay. It doesn't go out on, as far as I can see, or I don't see it go out. But okay, everyone sounds good. That's That's great, everybody.
Alright, stop recording. Wait a
Okay.
few seconds.
Wow, RPG, I'm offended. I thought I was your favorite, and I just get
start recording.
Chublima.
Chiblima.
Oh,
Thought I was
Yeah.
senpai.
Senpai Chiblima.
your daddy Chublima.
No!
Or the Daddy Chublima, every NSF Twitter's favorite.
Alright, are we ready?
Yes.
See,
Yes, we are ready.
Alright, and for the one person asking who Daniel is, we're actually going to introduce everyone. So, no worries if you're new to the podcast. Yeah, everybody ready?
Yes.
Alright. I was gonna say before, like, in terms of actually doing this, I feel like if I need to be at a 10 to do the podcast, I feel like I'm at like a 3 or a 4 right now. Like, I don't feel like I have the energy, but you just like fake your way through it.
Fake
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's like customer service.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
there
like-
you go.
I don't want to
It's like
smile
theater.
at everyone, but yeah. This is our weekly acting class where we have to act like we like each other.
it's like auditions for me. I'm gonna pretend
I actually
really
like
possible
you
to
guys.
for you. I do like talking to you guys. It makes it easier.
Alright. We good?
Yes, that was me being flattered because
Okay.
you guys said you like.
Are you
talking
okay,
to us.
Kayla? Or is it just the sound in your
Sorry.
eye?
That was me being
Ilya?
sad.
No, like
Because-
you got your
That
eyes
sounds
all
fine.
squinted.
Yeah, I'm sad.
Everyone's talking at
Oh.
once.
Oh, yeah, you're still so quiet.
What?
You sound. Oh no, maybe it's just me. But you sound
Gonna scoot
quiet.
closer. I am now closer.
You
to
can
my mic.
turn your computer up, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. Maybe she's just quiet.
Then
on Discord.
everyone will be too loud. Oh,
No,
well.
I mean, like, go to the Discord chat. Maybe her volume is down there. And You
Yeah.
can probably turn it up.
You can
I don't know
individually
how to do
adjust.
things.
You just right click or click on it, and then it'll have the volume.
Oh, that did not sound good.
Normally it's at 100%, but you can change it to 200% or down to 0.
I
So
literally have to do that in all my videos.
when we used to have people that would come on like the Mario Kart live streams that I would do, if they were too loud, to not upset them or to make them feel bad, instead of like server muting them, I would just
Mhm.
turn them down for myself. So they're at like 5%. I can still hear them. Everyone else can hear them normal. It's just with me, they're super quiet. So if they actually have something important to say, I can still hear them, but they're not like in my ear screaming.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's another thing I hate is when people record audio for videos. Like there's this one guy that did a Did You Know Gaming video, because they always get guest local people, and this
Mhm.
guy, I forgot his name, but he like literally yells into the microphone.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not.
that's just not
Yeah,
good.
I prefer stuff like New McIntyre or Connor and Ilya. The way the old McIntyre used to do stuff, where they just calmly talk into the microphone.
Like the smooth, buttery voice.
Yeah, that's what I love. But then people comment
I
like,
do
"You
eat a lot
sound."
of butter.
Yeah, but then
I'm from
people
the south. We like butter.
people will comment and they'll be like, "You sound like you're so bored. At least be excited about it." And I'm
I
like,
know. I
"Have
got
you seen?"
so mad at myself after that comment.
Yeah, but it's like, have you seen any documentary ever?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one's yelling about like how.
And then Abraham Lincoln was shot.
Yeah.
Have you seen these Great Barrier Penguins?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would
And
be a
then,
great documentary. I'd watch the hell out of that.
Hey,
So-
what
I
happened?
watch
Were
all
we starting the
nature documentaries.
podcast?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, right. Oops.
Jesse just got like distracted and started telling us his life story.
Oh,
Yeah. All right,
I would so do that too, though.
all right. Everyone's ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me, and here with us, as always, on episode 39 of the Hylian Gamescast, I believe, for June 26th, is our co-hosts, Daniel. Kayla.
Are we doing the hands up thing?
I don't know what I'm doing.
And Ilya. Yeah, that's great.
Great.
For the people only listening to the audio podcast, they raised their hands. So
Yeah, so sorry about that.
yeah. So on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about a few pieces of Nintendo news. The Hyrule Encyclopedia finally released last week, and it has Ilya has it right there. Daniel has it, and he's
Beat to it.
yeah.
I have a sock.
So there were a lot of new facts that were revealed in this book. Similar to when Hyrule Historia came out, there's a lot of new info revealed. Hyrule Encyclopedia does the same thing, except
Are these ladies okay over here? I'm sorry.
They're just too heated about
I showed
all the
Ilya
new
a
Zelda
sock
lore.
and she just destroyed herself. Sorry,
okay.
continue.
Oh,
I was
Jesse.
listening too.
Yeah. So
Let's drop some bombshells. That's what it's done.
yeah, the
Yes.
the Hyrule Encyclopedia it has a lot of new facts, just like the
I just dropped it. I dropped it. I dropped my book.
just like the Hyrule Historia, except it has a slight tidbit of information about the Zelda timeline, which is very interesting. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about some rumors that we kept being told over and over and over, but none of them ended up coming true,
Oh.
which
You need
honestly,
to settle down.
the year isn't
I'm so
over,
sorry.
so there could be other stuff announced later in the year. And the last piece of
Was gonna be
news
Christmas.
is about Metroid Prime 4, Animal Crossing, Mother 3, everyone's favorite game that never released in America, and a few others. And then we're going to get to our topic of discussion, which this week is a Zelda theory. Daniel's going to tell us all about the Breath of the Wild timeline, and then we're going to be answering some questions sent in by fans like yourself, but sometimes we get so many questions. So, Kayla, what can people do when we get so many questions, but they still want their question to be answered?
Tell us, Kayla.
You can become a Patreon. We will always answer Patreon question first. And if not, comment in YouTube, because we will normally answer those.
Yeah. So you can leave your comments on the previous Zelda mailbags. We'll go there to collect the questions. Sometimes people send questions through the wonderful world of Twitter. But mostly we just compile all of the questions that people ask on the Discord. So you can go to our Discord server. There's a link in the description. We'll answer all of those. And yeah, as Kayla said, you can go to patreon.com/GameOverJesse and have your question, among other things, to be guaranteed to be featured on the show. Even today's topic of discussion, this Zelda theory. If you would like us to talk about something for 15 to 20 minutes, go in depth on any topic, as long as it's reasonable, you can also sign up for a tier for that as well. Just as
Segway time.
yeah, J-Link, Michael. See, if I know these people's usernames, then I want to say their usernames and not their real name, but it's their real name that pops up, so I try to be...
That's his real name?
Yeah, J-Link.
Sorry.
So,
continue.
just as J-Link, Michael, Elmer, Gus, Justin, Ashley, that one pancake, Key of Time 15, Monica, Casey Willis, Link uses the Triforce, Megan, Lunarium, Robbie, Shadow to Us, Rusty, and Lovable Christy.
Wait, which pancake was it?
That one pancake.
That one.
Oh, that
Just
one.
that one.
That one pancake. Sorry, I forgot which pancake.
We have
Love
more than
that.
one pancake?
Actually, I think those are supposed to be two different because I know we have the one, and I don't see the one on there.
The one.
So maybe it's the one.
Maybe
and
the
then
one
someone
got
else
merged
is-
with pancake.
Yeah, possibly that one
Wait,
pancake.
which pancake?
Pancakes are delicious, so. I don't
Waffles.
I do like a good
Debatable.
pancake.
I like French toast.
know. Ooh, I love French toast even more, actually.
But see, I think French toast is like you have to go out of your way to make French toast.
You have to go out of your way
whereas-
to make pancakes and waffles.
Good counterpoint. You know what's the best? I've got a waffle maker, and I've never loved anything more. Oh, okay, that's a lie. My panini press I love more.
You could get the
But-
waffle
know, there's
maker
Loves
that
his
makes
press more than his
the
wife confirmed.
Triforce
Yes.
waffles. Yeah.
Also, in the chat here, someone said, Amazing Chan said, I want to donate, but I don't have any money.
Then don't.
Okay, dude, don't worry. Just watch our videos, and we'll still love you.
Yes.
Yeah, hang
Love
out
you
and be our
always.
friend.
So don't
Subscribe and talk during the podcast.
Yes.
That's how I started. I just talked in the chat all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Ilya started. We answered her questions on the podcast.
Hey, Larulian's in here. Yeah.
Hey, or-
Okay, so everyone watching, we have about 40 people. The best way for you to support is honestly going to your Twitter, Facebooks, Instagrams, whatever, and promoting the channel. Post that you're a fan and you want other Zelda fans to check it out. Bring as many people as you can. Maybe we'll reach 70,000 subscribers soon. But starting our first piece of news, Daniel. Over the year, we have gotten countless I've gotten countless emails, messages, tweets about a bunch of different games that were rumored, and then some of these even popped up on like lists of rumored games. I was really championing for one game in particular.
Which one?
Yeah. So, three main ones. Actually, there's four, but I never really thought one of them could be. To quickly cover it, Zelda 2, there was a list by Grezzo where they were hiring, and they said something about Zelda, and then they had like the number 2 in there, and a lot of people thought that it was a hint at them hiring to work on Zelda, because they were saying something about like working on a new legend. And then, like, there was something like, you can work on this too, but they had, like, the number 2. It was something weird like that, like, very vague stuff, but still hinting at something that could be Zelda. So they had, like, Legend and 2 and some other things. And a lot of people assumed that it was going to be a remake of Zelda 2, similar to what they did for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, because Grezzo is the company that made those games. I thought that was like the least likely to be true. I thought maybe it was just like maybe a sequel to another Legend of Zelda game, not necessarily a remake of Zelda 2. But that could have been anything. I think that was honestly the one that was the most convincing, though, not necessarily that it was Zelda 2, but because it was the company who posted the ad to hire people, then you can't get much like more evidence or factual than that. But there are cases to be made for these other games. The one that I thought was another least likely but kind of made sense was Link's Awakening 3D, or
The bridge game.
yeah. So it
A
was
Link Between
supposed to
Islands.
be the A Link Between Worlds version of Link's Awakening. So sort of a remake slash reimagining slash sequel, where A Link Between Worlds began as Miyamoto wanting... I think it was Miyamoto wanted to remake A Link to the Past, but then Aonuma wanted to create a new Zelda game. So they compromised and took everything that they had started on with the actual remake of A Link to the Past. So they already had the world and everything made, and they just changed it so that it was like an updated version of A Link to the Past that sort of continued the story.
A few Zelda games have started that way. I think the Oracle games started as a Zelda 1 remake as well, and then were altered. And then I think, now this is never confirmed, but I pretty heavily believe Ocarina of Time started with kind of A Link to the Past in 3D in mind.
Yeah.
But that's really ballparking it as far as...
No, that's true. That's why... and A Link to the Past started a formula that they've used a lot of times, which is you complete 3 dungeons. It's like a big twist happens. In A Link to the Past, you get sent to the Dark World. In Ocarina of Time, you are turned into an adult, which is you're sent to the future world. So even though it's the same world, everything is completely different, similar to the Dark World and Link to the Past. Wind Waker, I believe, has something similar.
Where you find... No, wait, that's earlier in the game.
And then Twilight Princess.
Never mind.
Well, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword also have the same sort of formula. Twilight Princess, I think you get the Master Sword as well.
Yes.
And then you can turn into a wolf at any time.
You find the Master Sword in Wind Waker as well, and you find Hyrule.
Yeah. And Skyward Sword, the world kind of opens up a bit, because the first 3 dungeons in Skyward Sword you have to go to in a specific order, but after that it opens up, and then you can go to any of the, like, you can revisit any of the areas to go to any of the dungeons in order. I messed up. Side note, I went to the Sand Ship last, because I just revisited in the same order that you're supposed to go, so forest, fire, water, and so I did that again. So I ended up getting the bow and arrow, which is one of my favorite weapons in that game, as like the last main weapon. So I played through the whole game without my favorite weapon, which sucked. But anyways, so that was another rumor, Link's Awakening 3D, which was a link between islands. So similar to A Link Between Worlds. So in America it was A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, but in Japan, it was Triforce of the Gods and Triforce of the Gods 2. Which is weird, because Link's Awakening technically is the direct sequel to A Link to the Past, but that wasn't called Triforce of the Gods 2. So, interesting how they decide to name their stuff. But, yeah, so it was supposed to be a link between islands. Or as the rumor said, and we joked around about it being bridge, that A Link Between Islands is a bridge. So the game was essentially The Legend of Zelda Bridge. And then Ocarina of Time HD, because it is the 20th anniversary of Ocarina of Time, so what would be a more perfect time to remake or give us an official HD remake. And there's a lot of people that have said that they've just remade Ocarina of Time, so why would they remake it again? And then I point to, that's what Nintendo's kind of known for now, is releasing ports of games that they just released, or remakes of games that they just released, like the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee.
Right.
So that began as Pokemon, well, in America, because in Japan they had green and red, and then they had blue and red, and then they had yellow. So, but in America we only had blue and red. We didn't get the first Pokemon game, which was kind of a crappier version of Red and Blue, because it only had like 40 or 50 Pokemon as opposed to the full list. But anyways, so Nintendo released Red and Blue, which was an updated version of Yellow and updated version of Green and Red, and then they released Yellow, which again was an even more updated version, and then they released Fire Red and Leaf Green, which was a remake for the Game Boy Advance, and now they're releasing a remake of a port. So for the people saying the Ocarina of Time HD can't come because it's already been remade, Nintendo is literally known for shoving the same game out over and over.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just think about how many consoles can you buy Super Mario Bros. 3 on?
Yeah.
It's just
True.
And
Very
then,
true.
so
Yeah.
many.
like a lot of games, Nintendo at first were porting games from the Wii U that had just released to the Switch.
Mhm.
And they were giving little updates for it. So like it was the deluxe edition or whatever.
Mhm.
But lately it's just been like, no, it's literally the exact same game. Like Pokken Tournament re-released, it was the deluxe edition. Mario Kart 8 released, it was the deluxe edition, but lately it's like, what was it? Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze released, and it's
Yeah.
like literally no update
The
aside
Funky
from
Kong.
Cranky. Yeah, Funky Kong. I was gonna say Cranky Kong.
That funky mode.
Yeah. So
we
it's
brought
like,
you an update, but it's Cranky Kong, and you already had him.
yeah.
No,
So
who's the worst one in that game?
Yeah.
Just give me more Dixie.
and then some people for Skyward Sword HD, a lot of people say that like, oh, Skyward Sword just released, why would they do a remake of it? And it's literally the only 3D Zelda game that hasn't been remade.
Also, when people say it just released, no.
Yeah.
It came out in
No, it
2011,
didn't.
guys. It's been the same amount of time as Link was asleep in the Chamber of Sages.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. So with Link's Awakening, or not Link's Awakening, Skyward Sword, I think people just assume or think about it being new because maybe they just bought it late. So like if
Right.
they had a Wii U, they bought it for the Wii U even though it was a Wii game. And then if you look at Breath of the Wild, before it released, Skyward Sword was the newest big Zelda game. So I think people look at it as like, oh, well that released just before Breath of the Wild, but then yeah. So the way that I want to do this is with you guys. Out of these 3 or 4 potential remakes for the Switch or 3DS, which would you prefer? So Link's Awakening 3D, Ocarina of Time HD, Skyward Sword HD, or the Zelda 2 remake. We can start with you, Kayla. Alright, good answer. And to you, Daniel.
What?
Ocarina of Time.
Nice.
Hands down. I love that game. I've probably played it way too many times. I would love to see an HD remake, please. That is the first time that I saw Link, because I was young and I didn't really play video games a lot. I just watched everyone else play video games. But I watched my brother play Ocarina of Time all the time, and that was the first version of Link that I fell in love with.
Oh, funny story. There was someone in a chat yesterday. It might have been on the Discord. They said that Ocarina of Time for them was the horse game. So like,
Horse game.
yeah, so they would watch their mom or dad or someone play Ocarina of Time, and they loved the part where you're just riding around on Epona in Hyrule Field. So
That
instead
was
of
me when I first played it.
yeah, so they were like,
Yes,
instead of can we play Zelda or can we play Ocarina of Time, they're like, can we play the horse game? And they didn't realize there was more stuff to do in the game until they turned it on and it was like, oh, you can make a new save file. And then it starts you out and like you're not even an adult, you're not in Hyrule Field, you don't get Epona until way later, and then playing through the actual game, they ended up liking it even more. So I thought that was interesting.
That's cute. I like that.
Oh, so here's the question to go with that, Kayla, because you picked Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
We had a thing a while back. I don't know if you were on it, but we were talking about so if Ocarina of Time released on the Switch and it had the same treatment as Twilight Princess HD did, to where they released an amiibo with like the collector's edition or whatever, what kind of amiibo would you like, and what would you want it to do? Yeah, so like you could pick like a Saria amiibo, or like they could release
Wait, for
amiibo.
Ocarina of Time?
Yeah. So you could get like amiibo of each one of the sages. You could get the Deku Tree, the Deku Tree Sprout, Ocarina of Time Ganondorf amiibo.
Can I do all of them, please?
Well, you have to pick
I
one.
can't.
That's for
I
the
can't pick
collector's edition. Like, Twilight Princess got Wolf Link, which would take you to a new dungeon. So what would the standalone amiibo for Ocarina of Time do? Which obviously you would be able to use all of the other Zelda amiibo. But the new amiibo that they create just for Ocarina of Time HD, what would it be?
And I'm thinking it won't be Link because they have a 30th anniversary Link, like 30th anniversary Zelda edition Link amiibo for Ocarina of Time already. So not Link. That's only stipulation.
Do they have one of Link on Epona?
No.
Yeah.
Well, Breath of the Wild.
Link.
Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
does. Oh,
I
yeah,
was gonna say like an Epona amiibo because, yeah.
What if there was one of young Link pulling the Master Sword out of the pedestal?
Oh,
Ooh,
that would be
that
perfect.
cool.
That would be really, really cool.
I was
Or,
just like playing the game in my
Or,
mind,
like,
trying to
both
think
of
of
them
all my
back to
favorite
back,
moments.
like adult Link putting it in and young Link pulling it out.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay. So here's the thing. If they did do that, this would save a lot of hassle. So in Twilight Princess, they made it so instead of going into the menu or talking to Midna to turn into Wolf Link, like if you
Right.
were in Kakariko Village as a child, you tapped the amiibo and it made you adult Link in Kakariko Village.
In the future,
Yeah.
so it just travels like you just 7 years.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to the Master Sword pedestal.
Yeah, that way you would save a bit of time, because there's a lot of stuff where like you have to go to a place as an adult, go back as a child, go back as an adult, and
So not unlike the Magic Mirror in A Link to the Past.
yeah, like if you're doing the Magic Bean quest where like you have to go there as a child and then go back as an adult.
So much easier.
You don't have to run all the way back to the Temple of Time or warp there.
I'm just
so-
looking at the chat and they're saying a Gerudo amiibo would be pretty cool.
a
Just
Gerudo
regular
amiibo.
Gerudo?
Well, see, that's what I
wanna
was.
say
like-
Ganondorf.
If they released a line of
No.
all of the sages, like
Oh,
how they
my
released all of the
wallet.
champions in Breath of the Wild.
My
They
poor,
released
poor
sages.
wallet.
Yeah,
I'll buy them all. I really will.
You're
'Cause
gonna
then
need
you
more
would get-
shelves, man.
Naburu
I
for the
need
person who
more
wanted.
shelves.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so true.
yeah. But Kayla,
Uh,
what's your amiibo?
What? Epona?
She just said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I was making sure
Jesse, girl,
after
calm
we
down.
announced everything, would Epona just call Epona to you so you don't have to play the song?
Yes.
Oh yeah. That'd be neat.
Yes. I get tired of playing that song, honestly.
Yeah. And then you can only ride him like 15 feet. So. Yeah. All
You
right.
get to Kakariko
Well, you're not
Village
gonna
and it's
just
like,
walk.
JK, I can't go upstairs.
Yeah.
No.
All right, Daniel.
I'm gonna stick with the Ganondorf amiibo. We've got Twilight Princess Ganondorf from Smash. What? What?
Oh my
No,
god,
sorry.
no, I just saw it because I have our Discord, or like I have our chat playing, or like on YouTube, and I just saw our reaction side by side of Jesse talking about what life would be like with Ocarina of Time amiibos, and it was hilarious.
Oh, just us dying, you mean?
Yeah, because I was like going like this, and you were going like this. Okay, continue. Sorry.
So
Wait,
yes,
did
there's already-
Lorulian Historian in the chat? For those that don't know, Lorulian Historian from the Discord is TGL Medora, as in the book
Oh.
of Medora. So earlier he said something, if I may have read it wrong because the chat was going by so quickly, which is really cool to see actually. But
Yeah.
he said something about like amiibo being used as a paperweight, I think. Or maybe I was just reading something
Maybe I missed that.
incorrectly. But
he did
I thought it was
say,
funny.
like a generic Zora, a generic Goron, Gerudo, and Kokiri. So just basically all the races. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, but then like if you're going to do the generic ones, why not do the sages? That way you
True.
get the important ones. Because nobody wants an amiibo of Mido. Like, just get out.
True. But yeah, sages would be cool. I'm sticking with Ganondorf though, and although we do have a Smash Ganondorf amiibo already,
Yeah.
likely they will make a new Ganondorf amiibo for Smash Ultimate, which will have the Ocarina of Time design. However, this has not stopped Nintendo before right? There's the Twilight Princess Link is in Smash, and there's that Smash amiibo, but there's also just the Twilight Princess Link amiibo, which is a separate one. So why not? It would be really cool. They could give him a power pose or have him on top of his evil horse, you know, with his trident or something cool. They could do a lot with it. It'd be really heckin' awesome. I want it.
Yeah. Also, just quickly in chat, Rick was saying a Navi amiibo so they can disable her in the main game. Need help? Just scan the amiibo for tips. Navi problem solved.
All right, Ilya,
That's
what's
kinda
your Ocarina of Time amiibo?
The young Link pulling Master Sword out of the pedestal.
Yeah.
And what would it do?
I literally have no idea. I just think it would look freaking awesome.
Yeah.
What
It
if you
looks
just
so
tap
good.
it and then you turn into Adult Link? But you can't. You have to actually physically warp back to turn back into a child.
Oh, so it's like
But then you'd have to release
even more
the
like
second
the
one
magic
that has him
mirror.
putting it in the pedestal then.
Because, but the magic, I keep going back to this. The magic mirror in Link to the Past is kind of like that. It's a one-way warp. You can't use the magic mirror both ways. You can warp from the dark world in Link to the Past to the light world, but you can't warp from the light world to the dark world through the same use. You have to find a portal or go through the portal you left behind. So even just adding that convenience of being able to do that one way, but it's still not being like super ridiculous, because
Yeah.
I think there are some areas that I don't think Child Link is supposed to be able to reach that Adult Link can, right?
Right.
So having it just go the one way makes more sense.
Well, like, there's the missing heart piece that's there as a
Yes.
child, but when you're an adult, it's not there, but you're not supposed to be able to get there as a child.
So I don't think there's anywhere. I guess other than some of the dungeon, like inside Jabu Jabu, I don't think there's anywhere really that Young Link goes that Adult Link cannot go to. There's a lot of areas Adult Link goes to that Young Link cannot. So
Yeah.
if they just have it the one way, I guess if you're in Jabu Jabu's belly, you just fall into the water. it just sploosh.
I see.
Sploosh.
Sploosh.
Kaboom!
Yeah, that would be good. I like that. Functional and gorgeous.
Or especially like at least like when you do the well and you're like, okay, let's go back.
I gotta
Yeah.
get out of here. Yeah.
Well, like, I imagine it would take you... Okay, so... Like, when you play the Sun song, it takes you back to where you came into the entrance. So it wouldn't automatically make you... So that, like, if you play it in front of the Skulltula house, you're not going to automatically pop back... Or if you tap it, you're not going to pop back in front of the Skulltula house as an adult. It's going to take you to whatever entrance of Kakariko Village you ended up using it at. And if you're in Jabu Jabu's belly, maybe it's just cancelled to where you can't use it inside a dungeon, similar to how you can't play Furor's Wind outside of a dungeon.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually.
True.
Or if they do allow it, then it just takes you to like that part of Zora's domain, but as an adult.
Mhm.
So like everything's frozen over. But yeah. Okay, so Daniel, out of those games, which do you want to be remade? If
This is,
Nintendo were to make a surprise announcement of these Zelda
Ooh.
rumors.
This is very difficult.
All of the
Um,
above.
But okay, I'm caught between two of them in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Zelda 2 remake. In the same vein as the way, like if they remake it the same way that they had Mercury Steam remake Metroid 2 into Samus Returns. So they keep the core of it, the dungeon general layouts and everything, the give everything a nice fresh update and beautiful facelift, and but keep the brutality of Zelda 2 alive. Underrated or unorthodox opinion. I really like that game. It's hard as hell, but that's part of why I like it. I've never been more satisfied beating a Zelda game. When I beat that game, and I was like throwing on the controls, like, yes! So, like, that was a great moment for me. Every other game I beat it, I'm happy, but that's the one that just like it pushed me to the limit, trying to beat it. Just because the final boss, it's like the final dungeon boss, and then the final boss immediately, like at the next room. So you gotta go through 2 of the hardest boss fights, one after the other, and just even that is just ridiculous. There's a couple of things I would change though to make it easier. Add like, if you die, you should start at the dungeon that you died in. In the original version, that only happens in the last dungeon. In the palace, sorry. So if you die in the 3rd palace, you get a game over, whatever, you restart like at the very beginning of the game. Like you don't have to redo all the dungeons, but like in that location, the Northern Palace, I think it's called. Whereas in the last dungeon or palace, you die there. You just start at the beginning of the palace, like every other Zelda game ever, including the one before that one. So they just need to add that one detail, and they'll be good. But yes, keep the brutality. I love the challenge. I'm a gaming masochist, according to Kayla, her words. So I want Zelda to punish me.
Okay.
So, yes.
Classic Daniel.
So what Zelda 2 amiibo?
So Zelda 2.
I am error.
There's not a lot of characters in Zelda 2 that are noteworthy.
Yeah.
So the final boss, Shadow Link, would be a really cool amiibo to have.
Ooh.
We don't have like there's different versions of Dark Link, Shadow Link, and other games.
But that's the original.
But this is the OG Shadow Link, and it would be a really cool amiibo to have if they don't have just like a Zelda 2 Link amiibo.
Quick
have both.
tidbit.
Make them both.
Quick fact for everyone. A lot of people assume every version of Dark Link or Shadow Link, whatever they call him in the different games, a lot of people assume it's always the same Dark Link showing up, created by Ganon. But every single version you see is a completely separate version, similar to how every Link is a completely separate version. And they're even created in different ways. There's like a 15-minute video explaining all of like the different origins for all of the different versions of Dark Link.
That was a good video. That was a good one.
So what would Dark Link amiibo do?
I didn't get that far. It was going aesthetic.
It would be just like,
don't make it like hard mode.
No, that's what I was gonna say. It would be like the Ganondorf amiibo for Twilight Princess.
Okay. Or the Metroid amiibo in Samus Returns, which gives you fusion mode.
Okay.
Which is just hard. There's already hard mode, but then there's like hard mode.
Okay. So it gives you like dark mode.
Yeah, sure. Like,
because Dark Link, dark mode, I don't know. Dark is what they used for the hardest difficulty in perfect dark. Like you could play through like hard, very hard, perfect, and then dark. Ilya, your turn.
Which game?
Yeah, which game?
Yeah.
I think we all already know. Okay, so with Link's Awakening 3D, would you rather it be on the 3DS or the Switch?
I think, because I was actually thinking about this, I'm like, would I want it to be, what they did with A Link Between Worlds for A Link to the Past? Would I want it to be like that and have it be on the 3DS? Or would I want it to be like a full 3D game? And I think it'd probably be best if it was what they did with A Link to the Past, making A Link Between Worlds, but I'd want it on the Switch, I think.
Well, like, they could still do that. Like, if you play A Link Between Worlds on an emulator, like, it's still 2D, it's just also in HD. Like,
right.
Octopath Traveler is a 2D game that's also in HD.
I think also because, like, I already have Link's Awakening on my 3DS as a 2D game. But yeah, I don't know why. I think I just have a lot of nostalgia for that game. A lot of people hate on that game. But I'm like, I have a lot of nostalgia for that game. Because I genuinely do not remember if that's my first encounter with Zelda or if Ocarina of Time was. Because I think we got them at the same time. So I don't remember which one was first. But I remember always loving that beginning scene where Marin's like, her little body going across the beach. And then it gets really fast.
That little bloop, 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 bloop,
yeah.
Yeah, as it bounces.
And like, I remember that title screen music sticking with me so much. And The music is so good, and Telltale Heights, I love that theme. So.
Alright, so what amiibo would release with it?
I don't know what it would do, but purely for looks, the Windfish.
Yeah.
Give us a
Imagine
big
how cool that would look.
Detective Pikachu style,
Oh, yeah.
girthy, big amiibo.
I was thinking of like a Marin amiibo, but
I was thinking Marin too, but
Marin would be cool, but I think I would want the Windfish. I don't know what it would do, but
it would wake him up.
yeah.
End the game.
End
good
game.
job.
Game over.
Yeah.
Just tap the amiibo.
10 out of 10 amiibo.
You guys are crazy.
I honestly can't think of like what it would do, but it would have to be something that affects like the game as a whole because that's what you're leading up to. And now for some reason I'm thinking of that part where you pick up Marin and it's like, you got a Marin. Could this be your big chance? It's like, no.
That game had romantic tension up the wazoo, and it was 8-bit. So
I
which is
know.
pretty incredible.
Marin, are you listening to me? That's all he knows how to do because he doesn't talk.
I always liked the Forest of Mystery song, just because it's like the main Zelda theme, but like in this minor key, and it like has this nice spooky twist to it, and it just sounds good.
Yeah.
Magnifique soundtrack. I'm just doing that all this podcast. That's my thing. That's this week's shtick, everybody. Enjoy it.
I think also all of those nightmare enemies would seem so cool in that 3D-esque type
it would.
look. I just love the concept of it being like a nightmare and whatnot, especially because I don't mean this in a bad way, but I do have a ton of nightmares. So I always play that game and I'm like, yeah!
I like that everyone shows different games.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I was
Only
wondering what
leaves
Daniel was
you,
gonna pick. I was like,
Justin.
you better say Zelda. I'm saying like so.
Yeah, that was the other one I was stuck between though.
I knew it
Yeah, those two. I got a taste for the classics.
because I know we
Actually,
had a
they're all
conversation at
classics.
one point. I think it was on the podcast about how like, at least there's direction with Zelda 2. Zelda 1, it's like go find things.
Yes, it's too like the openness is good, but if you don't know where to find the first dungeon, at least like. But that's a whole nother.
I still haven't found one, and I've had the game for weeks.
Oh, like I said before, you just gotta go up a square, left a square, up a square, right a square, right a square, up a square, left a square.
Very helpful.
Easy.
Someone in the chat said they want a Kuko amiibo.
It's invincibility and the ability to
yeah.
kill everything on sight. That's
Like double the
Gus.
power of Wolf Link and Breath of the Wild.
Oh, man.
Oh, love it.
Alright, I guess I'm going to default to Skyward Sword, but we already had a very lengthy discussion on Skyward Sword. Obviously, Loftwing amiibo, or
Oh,
for the
yes.
crazy people out there, a nice, very detailed Groose amiibo.
Yes.
Or
With him
near
like
him.
brushing his hair up.
Oh yeah,
Give me
yeah,
Bruce.
Yes. Bruce is on the loose.
exactly. So, our next piece of news, Daniel, since
Yes.
you have the Zelda Encyclopedia next to you.
So does Ilya.
Why?
Oh yeah, so does Ilya.
Yeah, but did you
And
drop
Hyrule Historia
yours?
for comparison.
What?
Oh, mine's in the other
Ilya's so
room.
cool.
So prepare.
Oh, you have it? Would you like to take this one then and tell us?
Oh, I'm just being
Okay.
annoying.
All right. Well, Daniel,
I mean, I can. I just now I'm lost.
tell us about this new book. But before you do, turn off your video and turn it back on.
Oh, is it lagging again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, I was late on that one. I was
Welcome
late.
back.
You were late.
All right. It's
Sorry.
working.
All right.
Everyone, take out your textbooks.
Everyone, open your textbooks to page 115.
Actually, it's
Actually-
page 10, but
I don't know why I said
394.
I just said a number.
Yeah. So
Wait, what
what?
is on page 115?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Zelda, or not Zelda, Nintendo and Dark Horse released a new Zelda book similar to Hyrule Historia. This is the Zelda Encyclopedia, and it has
It's shiny.
a lot. It is very shiny. It looks very, very
Oh,
nice.
you can see that red light from my microphone.
It
It's
looks.
like a laser.
Wow.
It's like
Yeah.
a guardian laser aiming at you.
So I think it actually looks a
Quick,
lot
piano
better
music.
than the actual limited edition or the collector's edition.
What does it?
Yeah, because the limited edition is designed to look like the NES carts.
Oh, I mean that's cool
Oh
too.
yeah.
But I think the style of that looks a lot better.
This
There's
is
It matches the other books.
yeah,
And it does match. I wouldn't want it to not match the other books.
yeah. So there's a lot of new, cool, awesome information there. But the most important
But
is what,
This-
Daniel?
Link from Ocarina of Time, and this is Link. This is Zelda from Twilight Princess. And this is Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. So that's confusing. Sorry.
That's the most important tidbit of
The
information.
important part,
All
everybody.
right, next news segment, everybody.
Sorry.
Podcast over.
The timeline, I guess, is what we were going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what? That's the next part.
What?
No.
Oh,
Isn't
okay,
it?
never mind. Okay, no, you're good.
I don't know how to read.
you're good.
I mean, no, I do know how to read. I mean, I do know how to read.
Jesse's like, what is happening?
I just crumbled Daniel.
You broke him.
Oh no. Oh
She
no.
did that to me earlier with her sock.
We need
Okay.
we need a new Daniel. Someone get Rick.
Get Rick.
Hurry.
Oh, Jesse's gone.
He put his hand over the camera.
Why is this happening?
Oh, that white balance got a little funny there.
Uh,
All right, tell
Okay,
us about the
so
timeline.
the
Daniel.
timeline. It's the same. No, it's there's a slight change here. So
How?
before it was said in Hyrule Historia, in the Downfall timeline, that it goes
Oh.
Link to the Past, Oracle Games, and Link's Awakening. Oh, thanks for the visual. Ilya.
previously,
Visually,
it was
Ilya.
this.
So previously, that's what it said. Basically, being that A Link to the Past ends, Link goes on adventures in Holodrum and Labrina,
Yep.
and then he goes off sailing, which makes sense because you actually see that at the end of the Oracle games. He goes sailing, and Zelda 2. No, Zelda 2 is not next. It's a few games later. Link's Awakening starts. So that was the OG timeline in Hyrule Historia. According to this here book, that's not the case. So it's Zelda, A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and then the Oracle games. But it does explicitly say on not this page, but on another page, that this still is the same Link. And I think there was, what was it? A different book.
Yeah.
What was it that had come up between these two that had said that the Oracle games were their own Link, and I was like, I don't buy it. I'm an angry
Yeah.
nerd.
So
But now I'm happy.
yeah
So-
the author of the book pretty much said, whether it was Nintendo giving them information or whatever, that it was A Link to the Past. Okay, so originally it was A Link to the Past, the Oracle games, and Link's Awakening. It was all the same Link.
True.
And then it turned to A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and then the Oracle games had a completely separate Link. And now they changed it back to where it's all the same Link, but the position of the games are still there.
Yes.
This is similar
Well, it
to
does-
what occurred a few years ago, where Triforce Heroes released, and Nintendo said that it was its own original Link taking place on an adventure that was separate from the other games. It even looked like a different Link from the one in A Link Between Worlds.
Because it's Toon Link.
Yeah, and then a couple of weeks later, someone, I forgot who, said that
Sorry.
no, it doesn't take
Sorry.
place on its own. It's not a new Link. It's actually the exact same Link as A Link Between Worlds, and it takes place directly after A Link Between Worlds. So it seems when Triforce Heroes released, Nintendo didn't even know what to do with it, and then they just decided a couple of weeks later, like, hey, let's just make it a sequel to the last game we released.
They do that, guys. They don't plan like that.
Some of them.
So it's page 19 that says that it's the same link as A Link to the Past.
Yeah. So
Get it back close.
is Breath of the Wild
Trust me.
anywhere on there by chance?
Breath of the Wild is not in this book anywhere.
Nope.
Even though it's blue, which is like makes me think of Breath of the Wild.
Well, that's why they have Masterworks or Becoming a
the other book
Champion
that was much money
coming
on.
out. So,
But that's it. I would, if we were sponsored by them or not, I would still. We're not sponsored by them. I
No.
would still recommend you buy this book and give it the old read.
yeah, that would have been an email that I would
old
have needed to
read-a-roo.
send out like 8 months ago to get a book.
Mm.
And there
I
was a
wouldn't
good
want
little note on the bottom of page 10, which I think kind of sums up
Yeah, that was another
how to view the
thing.
timeline, as always.
Why don't you read that note, Ilya?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What does it say,
Well,
Miss
the first
Rose?
part says, attentive readers may note that the timeline shown here differs slightly from the one found in Hyrule Historia. We just covered that. But then right after that it says, the timeline can be interpreted in a number of ways and may change depending on new discoveries that have come to light and on players' imaginations. And I'm like, that's literally the catalyst of what... As much as I want it to be concrete...
Yeah, so
Yeah.
before it was the official timeline, now it's just an idea of the timeline.
Yeah. I still think
I think it kind of
the
makes
change
sense.
is good. Like I'm still on board. I've always been sold on the idea of that Link being the poor guy having 4 games, so many adventures.
It would have been
and
5.
It would. Oh, if
Yeah,
the third
'cause the
Oracle
2
game
and
had come
3.
to fruition.
Yeah.
Especially, just like it makes sense with the ending of the Oracle games and where he goes off on a little raft or whatever. It just kind of all leads into Link's Awakening really well, but I mean, this is still good. I still think it's pretty concrete, especially because the Triforce is whole in the Oracle games, which it was reformed in A Link to the Past backstory / at the end of the game. So I feel like that's pretty solid evidence, but I still buy more into the Hyrule Historia version with the Oracle games between Link's Awakening and Zelda, and A Link to the Past rather than after. But
Yeah.
that's just Daniel, everybody. So
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
like that.
the real mystery is where's Kayla.
Yeah, I like that in this book, they, like, right beneath the timeline, they state that anyone can have their own interpretation of it. I think
Yes.
Hyrule Historia said that, but it was, like, at the very end of the book, and it didn't necessarily mean the timeline, just
Yeah.
everything in the book could be...
Yeah, that was in the intro in the book.
Okay.
There was like a little passage by Onuma, basically
Yeah.
giving that.
Oh, I think I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the timeline in Hyrule Historia was formed not by Nintendo, but by that writer's own interpretation. Like, whoever the main writer-editor was for the book is who
Yes.
came up with the
He
timeline.
was a splitist instead
Yeah.
of a linearist.
Like, if it was
My
someone
boy.
else, yeah, if it was written by someone else, then the official timeline could be completely different, so...
Oh,
Who
Kayla's
knows?
back.
Yeah.
Kayla, we talked about a lot of stuff.
She's
You got a lot of catching up to
mooted.
do.
She's mooted.
Sorry, I was really cold.
Oh, yeah?
Not allowed. You're only
Ah.
outside in
Yeah,
the evening
this is true.
where it's windy.
See, if
I'll
I went
catch up.
outside right
Canada.
now, I would get mobbed by mosquitoes
Yeah.
and palmetto bugs, which are roaches on steroids that can fly.
Ugh.
Alright, we
That's
will
the worst
be...
thing I've ever heard of.
So, Daniel
Welcome to my world.
will be telling us all about Breath of the Wild's messed up timeline here in a bit, but we need to get to our next piece of news.
I was gonna say, oh my gosh, I was gone for so long that you guys got through the next piece of news.
Yes, we already.
No, not without you, not this one.
No. Oh no. Yes, the piece of news is that IGN.com has a great little picture of Mark Hamill on the sidebar in this ad. It says,
Oh
Mark
yeah,
Hamill.
I see that too.
Yeah, that's the big news, everybody. You should go look at
Nah.
that. He's a very handsome young man.
Oh,
you know,
beautiful.
80s, of course,
Alright,
but
so
he looks good with a beard too.
My ideal man.
That's it.
Daniel.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
So Daniel and I, we already did one. So Ilya or Kayla, would either of you like to begin this? We can alternate between the actual quotes. So like Daniel could take like Metroid, Kayla could take Animal Crossing.
And
So-
Aminal.
Yeah,
Aminal.
But
Aminal.
Ilya, would you like to start out? Do you know how to do it? Are
Do
you
know
aware?
How to read?
Do you
What do
know?
you mean I'm aware? I've read some of the
Can
stuff
you-
before.
Okay,
Read
okay.
things?
You don't need to know how to do anything. I don't know what I'm doing like 100% of the time.
Which one are you
I
wanting
still
to
just say
read?
nonsense, and he just
so
keeps bringing me back every week.
You'll start out with this piece of news comes from IGN, where Nintendo talks about the 6 big Switch games, and then you
Well, like, which one am I talking about, though?
just do the intro, and then Daniel will do the Metroid Prime 4
Okay,
Pokemon
because
thing.
I was like,
Yeah,
the
we'll
only
just-
game I know on here is Animal Crossing. So cool.
Yeah, so just like
Aminal
I can do
Crossing.
that.
so you'll just say like what the website is to give credit to them,
Yep.
and then what the title is, what it's about. If there's a short
And-
paragraph, you can usually just read that, or yeah, or you
That's
could
the
like
thing
make
I
up.
did
We'll
last
edit
time I
this.
read news.
Part out.
So.
Yeah, yeah. This actually I stopped editing them out because I find these parts fun. So because I like when things like get off topic in the podcasts that I listen to. That way, you know the people you're listening to aren't just robots. It actually
Wait, but I am a
shows.
robot.
It actually shows their
Are you
personalities.
sure I'm not a robot?
So
I'm not a robot.
what I've been doing is putting these parts at the very end of. So like this part would be at the end of the previous. So people who watched all the way through could be rewarded with
Oh.
our actual
Here's your reward.
personality. Yeah.
Gosh.
So, Ilya.
Great reward.
Yes. Okay.
And this also
So
works
this-
out because Ilya is one of the few, like, Kayla slightly, but Daniel really bad. There's a delay, so.
I'll fix it.
Oh.
Oh,
Again,
we good?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this news comes from IGN. Nintendo talks about the 6 big Switch games missing from E3 2018. Yeah, they were missing. So, Nintendo's E3 2018 showing was brimming with amazing games like Super Mario Bros. Ultimate. Oh, Super Mario Bros. I'm so sorry. Super
Ilya.
Smash Brothers Ultimate. This is why I take like 10 takes when I record stuff, okay? Like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, Fire Emblem, Three Houses, and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. However, there were a handful of notable franchises that were nowhere to be found during the show. Everything from Metroid Prime 4 to Yoshi and even Animal Crossing to Mother 3. Many of us have been left wondering where some of Nintendo's most iconic titles have been. With that being said, IGN did a little digging themselves, and reached out to Nintendo to find out the fate of some of our favorite franchises. Animal Crossing. Anyway,
Alright, yeah.
Yeah.
What's our first game on here that Nintendo discusses that was missing? Daniel.
Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon 2019.
epic
with-
sound. Oh, and by the way,
Oh, yeah. So I mean, no, Pokemon's great, but I want that Metroid. Speaking with IGN, Nintendo senior produced. There, I messed up. Nintendo's senior product marketing manager, the one and only Bill Trinan, revealed that Nintendo wanted to focus on a shorter window this year, rather than showing off some of last year's big surprises like Metroid Prime 4 and the upcoming Pokemon RPG. there was other stuff that we probably... I gotta channel my inner Bill.
Yeah, so this is the quote
There
from Bill.
was other stuff that we probably could have included in E3, but is probably a bit further out. And so we decided to really keep the focus little bit more on between now and early 2019, which I think you saw some hints of there with a couple of games. Trinan told IGN. That was the best Bill Trinan impression I could do. It's not that good.
Oh, you were doing an impression?
I'm just trying to capture the.
I'm so sorry, Daniel.
Of his voice,
you know that I love you platonically.
Yeah. Try to be a bit more Bill and read his next
You
quote.
can't be more Bill than that. That was 100%
That's true,
Bill.
actually. That's very Bill.
We've
He's a
seen
rhythm.
Bill at E3.
We saw Bill, but we didn't
We've
Say
seen
hi to
Bill.
see Bill. That leg is pretty bad. Bye. I'm back. Oh, it's still lagging, isn't it?
Wow, yeah, it hates
Oh
you.
no, I hate this computer. So, Monsieur Bill, we want to show some stuff when we think it's ready to show. Obviously, it's not like we've stopped working on any of the things we talked about last year. That stuff's all being worked on, Trinan added. We'll just show stuff when we're ready to show it, and really, right now, the focus is on two big games in the form of Smash and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah. I think this basically they learned their lesson from Breath of the Wild.
We got too hyped too
Yeah,
fast
where
and
they're
for
like,
too long.
here's Zelda Wii U. Here's its delay. Here's another delay. Here's a third delay.
Yep.
This year, probably. Actually, next year. It'll be this year for sure.
You'll be here this year.
Next year. But for sure this year, though.
Yeah.
That was the whole...
So the next games that they talk about, really quick, so you guys know what they are. There's Mother 3, Animal Crossing, Yoshi, Starfox, and I guess that's it. Yeah, so the 6 games, but the next one is Mother 3, which a lot of people know was never localized in America. There's a lot of fan translations. Nintendo could literally just take a fan translation, say they did it themselves, and upload it, which honestly, like, there's probably already an official thing. They're just waiting for the right time. And I think the right time to release Mother 3 is when they reveal this new Nintendo Virtual Console thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can just be like, which it's weird because it's a new game. So they could release it on the eShop because it would technically be new for America. But they could also release it on the Nintendo Switch Online service or Virtual Console, whatever they end up calling it, because it technically is just like a virtual console game. So, anyways, it could go either way. But their official statement on this is, I believe this is from Reggie Fils-Aimé, the president, says, "When we have something to announce, we will." Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé told IGN at E3, "Fill in the blank of your favorite franchise. Our mentality will be, we'll announce information close to its launch date versus teasing people for years on end." Again, this is exactly what they did with Breath of the Wild, what they did with Pokemon on Switch as well, because a lot of people expected the new generation, but it was years out. Apparently they're doing the same thing with Metroid Prime 4, so I don't know why Reggie is saying this, because this is literally
Unless
what they've...
it's closer than they're letting on?
Yeah, so it's literally exactly what he says they don't want to do is what they've been doing, so very contradictory. Fils-Aimé responded similarly to a potential Western release for Mother 3, a game we've been asking him about for the last several years. Again, I know there's a fan base for that title. All I could say is, we're aware, he explained. It's something that we always think about in terms of where there are opportunities to reintroduce IP to fans, to do it in a way that builds new fans. We're certainly aware, no promises, no commitments, one way or the other, but we're aware. This is very similar to when Metroid Prime Federation Force was announced, which I was talking about before the podcast began. he was asked by someone, I forgot who, about Metroid Prime 4. Like, why are we getting Metroid Prime Federation Force and not Metroid Prime 4? And Reggie's response was, we know Metroid Prime Federation Force isn't the Metroid game that fans want, but we are aware of the game that fans do want. And this is basically what he's saying again, saying that he's aware of what the fans want. And then a couple of years later, we got an official announcement for Metroid Prime 4. They could easily say that Mother 3 isn't coming, or some of these other games like Animal Crossing isn't coming. But by him giving the exact same response as he did to the Metroid Prime 4 question, I imagine... Because that would, like, if they released it, millions of people would automatically buy it. The game's already complete. They don't really have to do anything to it. It's just upload this 2 megabyte file or whatever the file size is to
Probably
the
very
Switch.
small.
Yeah, to the Switch
GBA.
eShop, and just collect the millions and millions of dollars that come with it. So,
Yeah, and I think, like, a lot of people would say that it's an impossibility just because the game was released so long ago. But keep in mind, Earthbound Beginnings came out in 2015. After or was it 2016? One of those. It was very recently, after being, you know, a game that was not released in North America since the 80s.
yeah. And Star Fox 2.
And Star Fox 2 was my next. Yeah, exactly. Star Fox 2 as well. It's a game that was completed, never released, and then they just released it last year. So, wild card, they may do it. You never know when. So I'm just gonna keep on hoping.
Yeah.
So I love
Alright.
Earthbound. So.
Kayla, I believe this next one is, I believe Reggie was talking to you.
Kayla special.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Ilya. I know you like Animal Crossing too, but I'm just like,
No,
Animal
no.
Crossing.
You're actually like a representative for Nintendo.
Yeah.
So,
So I think when Reggie, true story, when Reggie answered this question, he just pushed the IGN interviewer aside and was like, well, Kayla, this is what's going on.
Just, thank you for asking this question.
Yeah.
I'd like to address Kayla.
And then the interviewer was just like, who's Kayla? I'm the only one here. Who are you
I
talking
don't
to?
understand.
It's just
he
Gone
knows
to
of me
another
in
dimension.
the abyss.
Are you talking to Todd, the cameraman?
It's like, that's not even a
Um,
girl.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
Animal Crossing. So, Reggie said that the success of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp bodes well for the success of the eventual next installment of that franchise. Oh no! The video just started playing randomly. It's terrifying. All right. We see tremendous opportunity in using the mobile platform to introduce IP to consumers who may not be as familiar. Animal Crossing is a great example. And fans are really enjoying that experience. We're introducing it to new consumers, and that bodes well for whenever the next Animal Crossing might come. What are you doing to the camera? Stop that.
Who?
What?
Yes, when
Alright.
it comes out, not if.
When it
When.
comes out. When.
Yeah, so that they are working on it.
Yeah, so I've probably mentioned a few times in the podcast, like, I think that Pocket Camp is amazing and they did really well with it, and I think that they were able to reach like a really different audience with it.
Mhm.
So I think them having the mobile game first is really smart before they release a console version of Animal Crossing, because it'll bring more people in for the Switch, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the same thing they were doing with Pokemon as well,
Mhm.
as far as
Yeah.
having Let's Go tie into Pokemon Go. So yes, it's good business
That's how
Smart
Nintendo does it.
marketing.
acting for me.
Yeah. I find this very similar to when Miyamoto's like, yeah, we're working on Super Mario Galaxy 3 and Pikmin 4, and then never again hear from them.
For
Yeah.
one day.
We assume Galaxy 3 turned into Odyssey, but those were
Yeah.
different teams, I believe. So the
Yeah.
team that would have been working on the Galaxy series is different than the team that worked on Odyssey. So potentially the next big Mario game may be Galaxy 3, not Odyssey 2 because Nintendo already, or Miyamoto said that it was. But then he also said he was working on a full game for the Mario 128 demo, the tech demo for the GameCube. He said that they were experimenting on it with, they were working on a game for it on the DS, on the GameCube, and he said an unannounced platform, which at the time was obviously the Wii. And then ideas and concepts from Mario 128 turned into Pikmin. So like all the little Marios running around, he said was turned into Pikmin because you have all of the little Pikmin running around. And then the concept of like gravity and the round world was turned into Mario Galaxy. So we kind of got Mario 128, just concepts from it split into different things. So Galaxy 3 could have turned into Odyssey in the same way, and then Pikmin 4, I hate to say it, but could have been turned into Pikmin. What was it? Pikmin Go? Pikmin Help? Hey Pikmin?
Don't say Hey Pikmin. I refuse to believe it. It's not Pikmin 4.
Hey Pikmin is so bad it hurts. It physically
not
hurts.
Pikmin 4.
I had to demo that last year and I was like, why?
Yeah. So, that was the end of Animal Crossing. Just like that was the end of Pikmin.
It's a that's a very small tidbit about Animal Crossing and Pikmin.
Ilya, would you like to tell us about Yoshi?
Tell us about my baby Yoshi.
Yeah, Yoshi.
My Yoshi baby.
Alright, so Nintendo confirmed that Yoshi for Switch is still in development, though has been delayed to next year. Nintendo's website now lists Yoshi as a 2019 release. Quote, it's actually been making really good progress. They decided they wanted to make some improvements, so they're going to take just a little bit more time on it, and that's why we're not showing it this year at the show. End quote, Trinan told IGN. Beginning quote again. But I think you can look forward to some updates on it later in 2018. End quote. Initially announced at E3 2017, Nintendo showed off an extensive demo featuring a brand new cardboard aesthetic. At the time, Yoshi was planned for a 2018 release, though now we know that we'll most likely see it sometime next year. Pre-orders for Yoshi are still open on Amazon. And that is that.
So this is the weird thing.
Confirmed Ilya does a better impression of Bill Trinan than I do.
Confession, who the hell is Bill Trinan?
He's a guy we walked past on the street at E3.
It's Bill.
I need to look him up. Maybe I've seen him.
He's like Miyamoto's personal translator.
Bill. He's also like a big guy. He does like Nintendo Treehouse, and he does a lot of like directs, Nintendo Directs and stuff.
Okay, he was a part of the Treehouse.
Yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay. So
got it, because I watched the entire Treehouse for Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. So
yeah. So like we were walking around LA before E3 started, and I was like, oh, they look like Bill Trinan. And turns out it was Bill Trinan. We did that a lot, actually. Like, we kept walking by people and it was like, oh, that looks like this guy, or that looks like this person.
I saw Nate Bildorf and I froze. I didn't get to say hi to... I got to say hi to Kit Ellis and Christy Yang and Completionist, but Nate Bildorf, he's the one that got away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my coworkers at Nintendo were so jealous of my picture with Kit. They were like...
It's a shame I look like a stupid face in that.
Oh yeah, whenever I show the picture to people, I have to explain that Daniel has died in this photo.
He has died.
His
body, his soul has left the body.
I really like Kid Ellis. I don't know what it is. Just like you watch his videos, he's just got this very laid back, fun personality. I like the guy. I want to be his best friend. Oh well. That's it up. Whose dog? Whose dog? Whose dog?
Not my dog!
Whose dog?
I don't have a dog.
Am I the only one hearing this dog?
No.
No, okay. Because it'd be really funny if it was like neighbors or something. And I was the only one hearing it.
It's my neighbor's dog.
Your neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
All right.
acceptable.
So
Jesse.
I was just gonna say I think it's interesting, like how apparently like they're having some sort of development issues with the game. It's like how difficult can making a Yoshi game be? Like if it's a 2D Mario game, then I would understand because you don't want to put out a bad 2D Mario game. But like Yoshi, the quality, like you can get by with it being lower quality.
You can't. name a bad Yoshi game. I dare you.
All of them.
How?
No.
Dare you?
That was a joke.
Yoshi's Island DS.
Oh, I actually never played that. But isn't it just a port of Yoshi's Island? Which is a good game?
There's the GBA Yoshi Island.
Well, what's the difference between Yoshi's Island DS and the OG Yoshi's Island?
I'm pretty sure it's just a port.
It was on the DS.
Wait, is it a port that suffers from the screen crunch? Is that why? Because screen crunch is the worst.
Yeah.
Just
Daniel,
putting it out there. No one knows what I'm talking about.
tell us about Starfox. Our last game.
Fairfax, despite no announcement of an official reprisal for the franchise, be it the rumored Star Fox Grand Prix, which we talked about on a previous podcast actually, or something entirely new, Ubisoft revealed during their E3 conference that Starfox will be a playable character. Well, really, Fox Cloud is the playable character, but will be a playable character in the Switch version of their open space adventure game Starlink Battle for Atlas. The Switch version will come included with an exclusive version of an R-Wing fighter and will feature story missions exclusive to Star Fox, which Ubisoft claims fit nicely within the lore of Starlink. And then that's just the end of the article after that. Also, Starlink looks really good. Everybody, after this stream is done, you should go watch Nintendo Prime did a little Starlink video because he's really psyched for that game. But it does look very good. So,
His giant
Shades of Star Fox, Shades
non-amiibo figures.
Yes,
Yeah.
I like those. But they looks like a lot of those small pieces might get lost.
I wanted to play it, but the line was too long, and the demo was like 20 or 30 minutes. It was a long demo.
It was impossible to get into it. But I also wanted to play it. But yeah, as far as Fox's appearance in Starlink, he looks pretty much the same as Star Fox Zero. I think the R-Wing design is a little bit different though. But it looks really fun. That game. I don't know. Star Fox Zero came out pretty recently though. So I don't know how soon. Like Star Fox games are very spread out with their releases. So who knows what happened. Ilya, why don't you take us to our next?
Yeah, Ilya.
Ilya,
Well, you're the
take us
one
away.
that takes us, but I guess we have to wait
I
on
know.
Ilya.
I just want to make the joke.
Made the joke because Ilya's here. I'm sorry that the
yes.
dog is barking.
Gosh, dang
And then
nabbit.
the neighbor yelled at his dog.
Hey dog, my neighbor's trying to do a podcast. Can you shut up?
Yeah, she's trying to do a podcast on her porch. What's wrong with her?
I'm gonna put I think my laptop's getting hot.
Hat.
It's getting a hot laptop.
Are you putting it on top of a bowl?
a book? I'm putting it on top of a book. I'm not gonna bowl it over.
I'm serious. Chublima's top 10 fails has to be a video.
I want that video to happen. You got your wait. So what else will it be?
It's gonna be
get the laptop off
Fortnite.
the bowl.
The laptop on the bowl.
Something that happened in LA that was supposed to.
Fortnite.
It was though the dance.
Yeah.
Dance, I thought it was a game of Fortnite you played where you failed.
No.
I wanna see
Another
that,
one, a really good fail moment of mine. I was actually playing games online with my friends, but this is like in my old place, and my laptop wasn't getting internet, so like I unplugged my laptop and I rolled down the hallway in my computer chair to get like a better connection to the Wi-Fi. So I was like in middle of the hallway, just like in middle of a game of League, and they're like, "Kayla, what's that sound?" And I'm like, "I'm rolling down the hallway."
That's not a fail at all. That's a win. That goes on the win reel. Ilya, what's your favorite Kayla fail moment? That's the Kayla
Okay,
fail.
I think there was a podcast or something I was watching where apparently something was said, but I never went back to watch what it was.
I'm just loving that you actually had something.
I thought it was gonna be about the bowl. I thought she was gonna mention the bowl.
Oh,
I
what was
don't
it?
know. There was a podcast very recently. I want to say Axel was on it, and I just come in because I'd left for a little bit, but I didn't think to go back. And all of a sudden, everyone's making fun of Kayla, and I'm like, "What happened?" Oh, I'm too lazy to go back.
I think it was the bowl.
I think it might have been. Her laptop was balanced on a bowl, like a ceramic IKEA bowl, and she just like totally like fumbled it, knocked it over. It was great. It was
Nice.
great.
Why
I
would
can't
you
believe people are still watching this. I love
Because
you guys.
my
I
webcam
love you
wasn't high
all.
enough up.
I love you all
mine's
for
on a
watching
stool.
this.
But I always have
Oh.
to take it off after the podcast because I can't reach the shelves in my closet.
You're trying to reach the shelf. It's mine. Okay, my setup right now is hella ghetto. I posted a picture of it. It's like my laptop is balanced on 2 books right now on a chair with my microphone beside it here, and my webcam like jankily put on the top of my laptop.
I mean,
it's
mine looks
bad.
pretty terrible too, and my lighting is stand-up lamp
little-
lamp with a white camisole covering it, so it's not too much light.
I'm a little embarrassed because my setup is usually like pretty good, I think, but not this time.
I always make sure the rest of this looks. I'm sorry, I got hungry. And
You got
cheese.
so hungry. Oh, Tim Mullins in the chat says the bowl was the first podcast I was here for.
All right.
Love it.
Shall we carry on to the next part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
All right, you guys
podcast?
ready?
The Daniel podcast is gonna be. Yes.
All right, so new intro, everybody watching, because it's the topic of discussion or whatever. All right, everybody's good?
Everybody's good.
What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me. Here with us is Ilya Rose, who you all may know from some of the voiceovers from our Zelda Theories and Top 10 videos. We also have Kayla, our faithful co-host, who also does voiceovers. Actually, everyone here does voiceovers, but
Yeah.
she just happens to be co-host for the channel. And we have Daniel here below
The
me.
unfaithful co-host.
Daniel.
Yeah. So this is our topic of discussion for episode 39 of the Hylian Gamescast. We're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to start doing full, in-depth discussions on Zelda theories that you can comment below in the comments. Go to our Discord and suggest, or even become a Patreon supporter for a more likely chance that your suggestion will be talked about. But we're going to be discussing different Zelda theories because those seem to be the videos that you guys like the most. So if you have a favorite Zelda theory that you would like to see the 3 of us or the 4 of us, or depending on who the guest is at the time, discuss, over the next coming weeks, we're actually going to be having some of the voice actors from Breath of the Wild. Yesterday morning, we actually had the voice actor for Zelda in Breath of the Wild, Patricia Somerset. You can go and watch that interview on the channel, the previous video before this one. So if you're lucky, then we may pick your topic to be discussed, or your theory to be discussed, with someone who actually worked on and was featured in a Zelda game, which is like every Zelda fan theorist's wet dream, I imagine.
Yes.
That's not very PG.
No.
No.
Uh-oh. Demonetized.
Well, okay. So it could be
There was
like
a 14-year-old in the chat.
they
Jesse.
were so excited they peed themselves.
That's right. That's what
Exactly.
happens, everybody.
It happens to me
That's-
all the time.
It's never
Confirmed
happened.
that.
I'm
to
like,
me,
oh,
but-
a new episode of Bob's Burgers.
Oh, I love Bob's Burger, so
I'm gonna insert a Lenny face.
I for real love that show.
I have a Funko Pop. I was gonna say I have an amiibo of it, but I have a Funko Pop. So
It's not the same, Jesse.
yeah. So well, like, it would be cool if they had like a weird collaboration, like Funko Pop amiibos. But anyways, it'd be like a Funko Pop mini, I guess. Today we're going to be talking about a theory who, I would say, the most popular video on YouTube about it would happen to be Daniel, who just happens to be a co-host here on the podcast. So who better to discuss it than he? Although it was not featured on my channel, it was when he was writing, working, editing for Zelda Informer, whose YouTube channel is now on Nintendo Prime. But it is the Breath of the Wild Dragon Break theory. Nintendo has been very, very vague, purposefully, on where Breath of the Wild takes place in the timeline. There are hints that we've gotten. So, officially, what has been said, because no matter what theory from what channel, whether it was mine, Zeltix, one of the other members of the Chamber of Sages, no matter what video you've seen, there is no confirmed place in the timeline.
No, nothing official.
Yeah, so the only facts that we have is that Aonuma in interviews has, in a few different interviews, in one he said that it does take place after Ocarina of Time. Like long after Ocarina of Time is what he said. In the same interview, I believe, he said that it takes place in a time after Hyrule has had many wars or many battles with Ganon. And then another thing, there was an interviewer asked, because it has the Great Deku Tree and the Koroks, does it take place after the Wind Waker? And Aonuma said, although Breath of the Wild and the Wind Waker have certain similarities with characters and stuff, there is no direct connection between Breath of the Wild and the Wind Waker. All of this stuff was simply because Nintendo, before Breath of the Wild, had worked on Wind Waker HD. So it was easier for them to reuse some of those assets. So a lot of people look at like, oh, it's a sequel, or like it takes place long after Wind Waker because it has the Great Deku Tree and the Koroks in it, and the only other place the Koroks and the Rito appear is the Wind Waker. So Aonuma said that it was just they worked on Wind Waker, so they had the assets and they reused them to make it easier for Breath of the Wild. And there's actually interviews where Aonuma was talking about like the beta version, which we also have a video on, like 10 things that was cut from Breath of the Wild. Originally, Breath of the Wild wasn't even going to have Koroks, or it might have, but they would have been at a lesser role. One of the champions was originally going to be a Kokiri. So Korok Forest was going to be Kokiri Forest. Just like in Ocarina of Time, you would see the return of a bunch of Kokiris instead of the return of Koroks. So the connection that a lot of people have for it to be a sequel to the Wind Waker originally wasn't even planned, didn't exist, or anything like that. It was just the Deku Tree and Kokiri. So, but yeah, so that's like the only hints that he's given. It doesn't mean that it doesn't take place like long, like 10,000 years after Wind Waker, it's just that it's not directly connected. Because there's a lot of people that talk about, like, some people, there were theories that it was like a sequel or a prequel to Skyward Sword. Some people were thinking that it took place like after the flood dries up in the Wind Waker, like a few hundred years or something. There are theories where it takes place in the child timeline that are like really strong theories. Theories where it takes place in the adult timeline that are really strong theories. And there are even strong theories of it taking place in the downfall timeline. But there are arguments that can be made against all three. Like, you could easily debunk someone saying it takes place in the downfall timeline. You could easily debunk someone saying it takes place in the child or the adult timeline. And at the same time, you could easily have a good debate on why it does take place in the child timeline, the adult timeline, or the downfall timeline. Everyone has their own theories, their own suggestions, because it does take things from all three timelines and meld them together. So, although your headcanon may be that it 100% factually does take place at one certain spot, it doesn't. I was a huge fan of it taking place in the Downfall timeline, but after the game came out and I played the game, now I think there's no way that it could take place specifically in the Downfall timeline. There's just too much evidence against it, which I think we've talked about in a previous video. But the one that it has I would say the game it has the most references to is Twilight Princess. That I can find. So if we were just going by in-game stuff, there are more reasoning for it to take place like long after Twilight Princess, but even that, there are things to debate against that. Someone in the chat says alternate timeline. Aonuma said that it takes place like long after, that it is in one of the 3 timelines, or that the timeline that we know it does take place there, so it's not like a new made-up timeline. It is in the timeline that we actually talked about earlier. But anyways, that's a long thing to get everybody updated on. So I wanted to cover that, not to go over theories that people have, because everybody has their own theory. We're going to be talking about one specific theory here, but I wanted to cover the actual facts, like things the person who created the game has actually said.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get everyone caught up on that before we begin this. The Dragon Break theory that for Breath of the Wild was actually popularized, and I think not only the first but the most popular Dragon Break theory for Breath of the Wild. The first one that popped up was from you, Daniel. So
yes, I think
finally,
I was the first to actually put that term to it.
Yeah, which was
I was
originally
gonna say, like,
a term
for people that are
Elder
watching.
Scrolls.
Yeah, for people that are watching, maybe you should explain what Dragon Break might mean, so that way
Yes.
they kind of...
Absolutely.
Well, this is...
I also want to say... Oh, sorry, Jesse.
I was going to say, like, I was actually finished with everything. As I was saying, I just wanted to catch everyone up on the facts, not, like, pre-made theories. Yeah, so, like, stuff that Aonuma actually said, not stuff that people make up in their own headcanon or correlations people have, things that the actual creator of the game has said, because everyone has their own belief and no one is correct until Aonuma like points on the timeline. So
which could be really vague still, because it could just point off the timeline even. But I do want to say that, you know, as much as I love to toot my own horn, the reason we're also covering this, we did ask our fans on Discord what theory you would want us to talk about, and one of our Discord members, Mothy Tim, asked us to talk about the Dragon Break theory. So even though it may seem like maybe I just want to toot my own horn and talk about my own theory, I will happily oblige, by the way. Yes, it is a theory I came up with a while back, probably 2 years ago now. So to explain, did you just link it in the chat there? Oh, thanks. So that's a video I did when I was working at Zelda and the idea of what a Dragon Break is a term that comes from the Elder Scrolls series. So Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, everybody loves those. The actual event in Elder Scrolls lore that is a Dragon Break is the game Daggerfall, which is the second Elder Scrolls game, which came out before Morrowind. And what happened is, when they made that game, there's actually, I think, 8, I might be wrong on this exact number, but I think there's about 8 different possible endings to the game. And all of those endings have very different outcomes for what that would mean for the whole lore of the universe and the game world. So, like, basically you have a machine called the Nemidium, and it's this powerful death war machine. And you have to choose which faction gets to possess that machine. The Emperor, the Orcs, who are trying to be like Quebecois and have like a little separatist movement thing, all these different political figures and factions. You have to decide who's going to get the ultimate death machine and win this conflict, basically. So obviously that would have pretty huge differences in the outcome there, right? So when they're making a sequel to that, which is Morrowind, which is one of my favorite games ever, by the way, what do you do do you choose one canon ending? Do you choose an ending, or do you try and write the game in a way that none of those are really relevant, even though they were like huge events? Do you just either none of it happened and just make it like an alternate universe? What Bethesda decided to do was they came up with the Dragon Break. So what happened had such huge consequences that it actually caused in the universe a time paradox. All events happened at the same time somehow. No one quite remembers exactly what happened. A lot of people have conflicting stories on what they remember. Everything happened, so the timeline splits and then snaps back together. And that's the Dragon Break. I think the reason it's called Dragon Break is because the dragon.
It's named
god
after the Dragon of
Akatosh-
Time. Yeah.
Akatosh, I think, is the Dragon of Time. So it's named after him. So Zelda has a split timeline as well. As far as, like Jesse said, you could debunk any one theory of which timeline it falls into
First,
easily.
bring
So
up the
say-
Majora's Mask connection.
Oh, I'm getting to,
Okay.
I'm getting to it.
Because there has been Dragon Break in
mhm.
Zelda before.
Yes. So yeah, you could easily choose one timeline, but just as easily debunk that. So you could say, okay, well, it's got the Arbiter's Grounds, and it's got the Bridge of Hylia, and it's got Wolflink, and Zelda mentions Hero in Embers of Twilight, so it's got to be in the child timeline. But then at the same time, it's got the Koroks, and it's got references to Princess Ruto being a sage in the Zora text, which only happens in the adult timeline or the Downfall timeline, for example. So it couldn't be the child timeline. And all of these little, and I really think Nintendo just put them in there as Easter eggs or references, but all of these little tidbits contradict each other. So if we've got this nice Dragon Break, all three timelines synced up somehow, no one's quite sure what happened, but it makes sense. At least it closes up those little inconsistencies. So So yeah, a lot of people, when I first brought this theory up, that was the thing, is people like, that's an Elder Scrolls thing, that can't happen in Zelda, they're separate timelines. Which is where Jesse's point is that it's happened in Zelda not once, but twice, actually.
Confirmed by Aonuma.
Yes, that too. So, the one time that I actually mentioned in that video is the ending of Majora's Mask. So, this was a weird oddity I noticed. I was making a separate Majora's Mask video, and I was just recording footage. I 100% played through the whole game in like 4 days, just to get all the footage for this. On top of working a full-time job and being a dad, by the way. So I'm very proud of that. And so, a full-time job that involved me getting up at stupid early hours in the morning. So that the credits are what threw me off, because I was playing through recording the footage and I noticed, okay, in the credits of Majora's Mask, if you don't get a mask or whatever, it'll just show you the mask that you missed. But if you do get all the masks, it shows all the people that you've helped, like when you finish that side quest. But in Majora's Mask, those all happen and then you go back in time, so then it didn't really happen. And you cannot do all of those in one 3-day cycle. And some people have argued with me saying, no, you can if you're fast enough. But no, you cannot, because you cannot save the bomb shop lady in the same run as you do the Andrew Cafe side quest. You cannot do the Andrew Cafe side quest twice, because there's 2 endings to that side quest. You can't
To
do it
get 2
twice.
different masks.
Yes,
Or to get multiple
exactly.
masks.
There's many more examples, but there's a lot of times you have to be in 2 places at the same time, and you can't. On top, doing all of those on top of beating all 4 dungeons, it's impossible. You don't even try and argue with me. No, you can't do it. But all of those endings, all of those happenings are canon. They all did happen. It shows in the credits. Onuma's also confirmed it. Some time paradox happened. Dragon Break, everything happened. It's shown in the credits of Majora's Mask.
So Aonuma's actual statement was that the canon ending for Majora's Mask is that he uses the Fierce Deity Mask to defeat Majora, and the only way to get the Fierce Deity Mask is by doing all of the side quests.
Mm-hmm.
So Aonuma himself confirms, although he doesn't use the term Dragon Break because that's used for Elder Scrolls, he does confirm that all of the stuff does happen. So And that's the
Yes.
guy who created the game, his own words. So
Yes. The other time that it happens in Zelda is the end of Skyward Sword as well. So in Skyward Sword, in the Sealed Temple, you can see Zelda in her little chrysalis thing the whole game. So you know she's there. That whole time travel sequence where she goes back, she freezes herself, makes you wake her up, that all happens. So that's canon. At the same time, the Master Sword not there, even though Link goes back in time and puts it there. So it should be there throughout the whole game in theory, but it's not till you put it there. Also, Link wishes on the Triforce to... I'm sorry, I'm getting into super heavy spoiler territory if anyone hasn't played this game, but it is important to the theory. Link wishes on the Triforce to destroy the imprisoned, who is Demise. And he kills Demise. Done. So Girahim is all, well, you know when Demise isn't dead? If I go back in time. So he goes back in time, hauls Zelda with him, and then Link kills Demise again in the past. But if Link killed Demise in the past, none of Skyward Sword would have happened. Link would have had premonitions about the imprisoned, and so he wouldn't have, or Zelda wouldn't have gotten sucked down from the sky. Girahim wouldn't have tried to take Zelda back to revive Demise because he'd be already dead, and Girahim would be dead. All of this stuff wouldn't have even happened, but it did. But Demise dying in the past also did happen because he plays the curse. Ergo, both happened. Dragon Break.
yeah.
Boom.
Even
So-
the what was it? It's like basically the same paradox as like if a guy goes back in time and kills his grandfather.
Jesse, you're cutting out. I can't.
Oh, I was saying
Yeah, we
it's
know.
it's the same type of like paradox where if someone travels back in time to kill their grandparents.
Yeah,
So it's like
exactly.
if they kill their grandparents, then they're never born, which means they can never go back in time. So for them to do that, there has to be like a little dragon break of its own there. And that's the same thing that happens here because all the events play out because Demise is trying to come back. And Girahim's trying to resurrect him. If Demise is killed, then there's no point for any of the stuff to take place. So it all like melds together, which is also something similar to the Song of Time paradox.
Point is, guys, time travel messes everything up.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah. So there are
Don't.
yeah, but there are multiple examples of dragon breaks happening in the Zelda series, and with Majora's Mask specifically, Aonuma confirms that it does happen.
Yes. Though he doesn't use that specific terminology.
Yeah. He doesn't call it dragon
Yeah.
break, but he does say that all things happen. So because it needs to happen to get the Fierce Deity mask, unless Link just bullies the kid in the official canon to give him the mask.
Oh, so I don't think that's what happens.
Yeah.
He's not a bully.
Well, the Ocarina of Time manga says
we're not. No.
Link adopts a baby Volvagia, whatever. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Not that kind of dragon break.
Yeah. So what does
So,
I think Daniel
Honey.
did a very great job of
thank
explaining
you
this.
for attending my seminar.
Ilya,
Just on Friday.
starting with you, Ilya, what are your thoughts on this? Where do you believe? Okay, so what we'll do before Breath of the Wild released, where were you hoping, or where did you think it was going to take place? Playing the game, where do you think it is now, and what do you think about this theory?
Okay. Prior to Breath of the Wild actually releasing / me playing it, because came out in March and I didn't start playing it till December because money. I was hoping it would be the child timeline well after Four Swords Adventure and Twilight Princess and everything, just because I felt that had it has the same amount of games as the adult timeline, but I felt that it had been a long time since there had been one for that timeline. I don't know. I really liked a lot of the theories. I had seen a lot of videos on it, and yeah, I just really wanted to be in the child timeline. And then after I was playing it, my mind kind of got boggled, and I was like, well, good lord, anything goes at this point, especially if you throw Amiibo in as possible canon. It's like, how can he get all of these tunics? They don't exist. And it really threw me off. And there, during the game, I think there were points where I was like, I'm not sure if it's a child timeline. It might be the adult timeline. I started going for adult and downfall because of the names of the divine beasts. And I was like, would all those names have been as important in the child timeline? I don't know, especially because some of them wouldn't exist in the child timeline. So honestly, once I started playing the game, I was like, I don't know. And I'm sure Nintendo will come up with their own thing, and they might be purposely, I mean, as always, that's not their first focus. You know, they're letting us do our own thing, and then maybe they'll say something later. But I do remember hearing about this theory on a previous podcast, not as in depth, so it was nice to get the understanding of what a dragon break is. Yeah. Well, I didn't understand what a dragon break was until now, and I was like, as you were describing a dragon break, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense. I think it would be very fitting, especially since part of, I don't remember who said it, but one of the developers had said, part of the reason they made it 10,000 years after the last Zelda game was to avoid all those problems, because they just make games. They're not out to make a great phenomenal story timeline. So I think that the Dragon Break theory is totally possible, and it would honestly, I think, satisfy and I think nullify all of us. I mean, there might be some people that are like, no, I don't want to convert plan or whatever.
Yeah,
but I think
there has been a lot of that.
But I think even if this ended up converging the timeline, that doesn't mean they can't make a game that's still in one of those timelines. Doesn't mean it's the last one or anything like that. Because I've heard people say that if it's a converged timeline, that means it's the last one. I'm like, what? No, it doesn't. So
I mean, like, also, like, they've been making a lot of prequels before this, right? Like
exactly.
Skyward Sword, which was the last like Zelda game, was a huge, like, just like the ultimate prequel, right? And
exactly.
Yeah,
I think it would nullify a lot of us who are like, oh, there's so, because some people get very heated. I've gotten very heated about some of this stuff, so I think it makes sense. I would love to see like a new name for it, though. You know, since Dragon Break
maybe
is
like
Elder Scrolls,
a real Zelda type name.
Because like in Majora's Mask, don't they say, you know, may the goddess of time be with you?
Yeah.
Like if there was a name for the goddess of time, because we have like, you know, Furor and Din and Nehru. What's that name? The Ocarina Break? I don't know.
Ocarina Break. Well, I mean, because the split happens in Ocarina of Time, right? So but I just feel like there's so much that it like makes sense. Like the Rito and Zor both existing. A lot of people say, well, the evolution could still happen if the tribe split, etc. And yeah, it could, but it could also happen if Dragon Break. so just cleans that up.
Yeah.
Gibbs in the chat pointed out there's a Darmani statue in Goron Village. Darmani is a character in Majora's Mask who is not in the other timelines. But you know, it could. When there's a lot of reference to Darunia and again, Ruto as a sage, even though that wouldn't have happened in
my mic was muted.
The child timeline. Oh, Jesse.
I was gonna say nobody would know about Darmani in the Downfall timeline.
No. Or the adult timeline.
So like by that statue alone, just looking at that one statue cancels out any thought that it takes place in the Downfall timeline. But then there are stuff in the Downfall timeline that cancels out stuff happening in the other timelines. So
which I know there was one argument that as far as the divine beasts go, although someone was saying all those names would have been important anyway, was a princess.
Yeah, well that's me. That's
well, okay, that's what I thought. But also like Valmetto. Rito don't exist in the child timeline as far as we know. There's no Medley.
It's true.
Oh. It's true that divine beast is the only one that's not named after a stage from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, still a stage, but
yes.
Yeah, not one of the OT ones. So yes.
Yeah.
Well, Kayla.
Yes, she's been awfully
What are your
silent.
thoughts?
So, I said this earlier in chat. that I don't pay attention to Legend of Zelda theories.
Kayla, you know what
And-
channel you're on.
Timeline? I know. Well, that's the thing. It's like when I first
Theories
started, like,
pay our bills. So
I know. But it was like I didn't really like it didn't click for a really long time, but like the more that I've been on the podcast, the more that I've started to learn about like all of the timelines and all of the theories that are out there.
Mhm.
But I'm familiar with Elder Scrolls, so when you said Dragon Break, I was like, that makes sense because Breath of the Wild wouldn't make sense in any of Legend of Zelda. And there are different types of Dragon Breaks, so there's like more of like a short span, and then there's one that was the Middle Dawn, which was like 1,000 years.
I always use Warp of the West as my example.
Warp of the West, yes.
Yes, but thank you. Elder Scrolls nerds. But yes. Go on.
Yeah, no, I really need to educate myself on more theories and timeline stuff. Because, oh my gosh, you guys are nerds.
I'm Daniel Ferguson, and I approve this message. Yeah.
But no, like seriously, it was really funny because I was talking to my other like coworkers, and I was telling them like, oh, I'm in this podcast with people, and they know like all of the timeline and lore and just like everything about Legend of Zelda, and they're like, whoa, those people are insane. But like, there's so many people in the Zelda community like that, and I just think it's amazing. But yeah,
It's me.
it's cute. But yeah, I would say that I do agree with the Dragon Break theory. I think it makes sense, but I'm gonna look into it a bit more.
Yeah. Now, this doesn't mean that I necessarily believe that that's what Nintendo thinks. That's always a whole different story.
Yeah, we can
But-
never really know what Nintendo thinks. Kind of have to try and make sense of it all in our own terms, and I feel like that it's like that with most games and even most like
Mhm.
TV series and stuff. It's like like I see that they're going this way with it, but they probably meant to go this way. But that's just like us
Mhm.
writing fan fictions in our head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and no, that's absolutely what I did here. But I still think that the fact that it has happened in Zelda prior to this, kind of backs myself up. Although on a smaller scales, on a much smaller scale than having the whole 3 timelines and being like probably a 10,000 year gap, or some people think someone in the chat mentioned earlier that the Dragon Break would have occurred at the 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild's point.
Right.
I like that idea. I hadn't actually thought about where the conversion itself would have happened or how long before Breath of the Wild. But and a lot of people have tried to also use geography to sort of play into it. I always advise don't use Zelda
All the
geography
maps are different.
in your theories.
Yeah.
Don't do it, man. It's not worth it.
Well, like the thing about Legend of Zelda is like they don't. It's not meant to be like read like a book or played like
No.
a book. It's like it's got all of its own kind of things happening, and I feel like the people at Nintendo, like, they're not there to write stories. They're there to make video games that have their own story, and then they fit
Yeah.
into the larger scale of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Skyward Sword was the only game that had a story kind of in mind when they were
Mhm.
designing it. Whereas every other game has pretty much just been, let's make a Zelda game, and let's do this thing with it, and let's put a story. Yes. So,
Yes.
Jesse, you've been.
I've just been replying to the
Quiet.
chat.
I see that. Whoa.
I know. I was
So,
I was like, all the hype.
like, someone
Dropping
asked-
some knowledge bombs.
Yeah, someone asked if Termina existed in the other timelines, and I said, well,
Okay, so
Alan-
here's the
Hmm?
here's the thing with Zelda Encyclopedia. Oh, it's stuck under my chair. No, what I was gonna say is it does talk about. I unplugged my headphones. It does talk about
Yeah.
being like a
Termina
parallel
was the
world.
first
Oh
thing I
god.
read about.
So
There we go.
while you looked that up, I was just going to say that Alanuma, the person or the man who created Majora's Mask, who
Mhm.
created Termina, said that it is a real physical location located close to Hyrule, similar to Canada and America. I was using Canada as the example. Canada
Yes.
is the real world Termina.
You guys are in a parallel world to
Yeah.
us.
I
don't
am
know
in
how
a
this is
parallel
possible.
world.
And then other people were in the thing were saying that it's a parallel world, and I was just saying that like low roll is a parallel world, the dark world's a parallel world. Like they're all parallel worlds, but they all still physically exist.
Yes. Now
Right.
here's the problem. I don't know if you read this, Jesse. You're not gonna like it. According to the Zelda Encyclopedia, the world of Termina is inside the mind of Skull Kid.
Yeah, we talked about
And-
that on a
Yeah.
past podcast. But the game
I
itself,
don't buy it. I'm an upset nerd.
Well,
You
like-
guys figured it out before the encyclopedia put it there.
well, the game itself like contradicts that statement
yes.
because you can see people like there are cutscenes in the game that takes place before the Skull Kid gets Majora's Mask.
Yes.
So
And also,
there's-
there's like history of the world.
yeah.
The world has like its own lore, with the four giants and its own culture and traditions and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So there's the cutscene where when you come across the tree as you're making your way to the southern swamp, and it shows the cutscene where the Skull Kid's like doing cartwheels with the fairies and stuff, and he's all happy, and it's raining, and then he's hiding under the log, and then that's when the fairies first find him. It's like, well, how did all of that happen if Termina didn't exist? Like the game shows you that
Yeah.
happening. So it wouldn't have been able to happen if it all existed as soon as he put on the mask.
Yeah.
And then, like, everything that takes place before you get to Termina, like when you're still in what a lot of people assume is the Lost Woods, where, like, Link's riding Epona and then he gets kidnapped and everything. So, like, there are scenes that takes place before he gets the mask, and it shows scenes that take place in Termina before he gets the mask.
Mhm.
And then the man who created the game said that it is a real physical place. So, like, I would rather believe what the person who made the game,
Yeah.
what his intentions were, rather than someone who was just paid to write a book.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this is his, like, the person who wrote the book, a lot of this is just their interpretation.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of it is kind of, as much as I hate to admit it, a lot of this book I think is fan service. And so that's kind of one of the popular
Yeah.
theories. So that's probably kind of what they went with when writing that section.
Yeah.
But that's just what I think. Most of the book is still fantastic. I endorse it, but that page actually made me kind of grimace while reading it.
Yeah.
So,
But there's interviews when Majora's Mask 3D released, and you might be able to find older interviews when Majora's Mask originally released, but they'll be a lot harder to find because you probably have to find like physical magazines. But when Majora's Mask 3D released, Al Numa had a lot of interviews to promote the game, and that was one of the answers that he gave, was that Majora's Mask is like a real physical place. So it wasn't like a dream world or anything like that. It is a parallel world in the same sense that the Dark World and Termina or Lorule and all of these other places are parallel worlds, but they all existed as well. Like they all still are real physical locations. It's just they can be parallel worlds and a physical place. So, like the man who created the game is confirmed not a dream world. So put that theory to rest, please.
yeah, Tony. And Steve, I know you guys are watching this video.
Yeah.
And Josh, I'm just giving you names
Yeah.
now.
So
So-
again, that's not like headcanon or a theory that I came up with. That's the man who created the game said that. So yeah.
Yes.
And then the book, like Hyrule Historia, and then Zelda Encyclopedia. I don't know if Zelda Encyclopedia says it other than the timeline part, but it says that, you know, don't take everything as fact, more or less.
Yeah.
So I look at the books as more of like a guideline to get an idea of everything, not necessarily 100% fact. But I think we're done with this, so we can move on to the Q&A and end the video, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been going on for about 2 hours, so maybe we can do like 20 minutes on questions. Maybe each of us can do 2 questions, or would that be too much? I don't know.
Okay.
We can try, if we can keep the questions short, we can each get through 2 questions.
Okay.
We updated these questions in our Google Doc.
Yeah.
Is that? Oh yeah, today. Okay.
2.
Wait, yeah, are these updated?
No, these aren't.
The one.
Oh, why'd you say yeah? I trusted you.
I thought you meant on the Discord.
Oh no.
All right.
Oh no.
Well,
I was gonna say, like, we don't have to worry about it because I think Ilya's been on the podcast enough to know that when she looks at your question, she'll be like, yeah, that's been there for a long time.
all right. And the people in the
ones
chat,
at the very top, I'm like, yeah, those have been there.
the people in the chat, you can ask your questions as well. So, just like tag one of us so we can see when we go through the live chat to see the questions. And Daniel's going to round up some questions from the Discord, and I guess I'll go ahead and do the intro so we can get going.
Great.
All right, are you at? All right, so you're adding them to the.
I'm trying to, but
Okay.
the
Well,
doc isn't doing it.
I'll look at one from. Make sure you're on editing instead of viewing, I guess. But I'll pick the first question from the Discord or from the YouTube live chat. So whatever the first question I see is, so we can keep the podcast going, that's what I'm going for, but I'm going to go ahead and do the intro. All right, so everybody, post your questions and tag me to make it easier for me to see. What's up, everybody? I am... What?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me. It is episode 39 of the Hylian Gamescast. This is our Zelda mailbag for June 27th. For me now, it's officially past midnight.
Whoa.
Time travelers here.
Suckers.
So we just talked about the Breath of the Wild timeline. We talked about how Zelda Encyclopedia has changed the official timeline. 2 separate videos you can go see. We had an interview with the voice of Zelda herself, Patricia Somerset, which was amazing. We talked to her for about an hour. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff you can see. There's a top 10 best and worst of Skyward Sword coming out. I keep popping my fingers. There is top 5 biggest mysteries of Majora's Mask I'm working on. There is another video that I can't quite think of. Top 10 best things that Ganondorf has ever done, which is
such a bad guy.
a fun video who Axel helped write. But it's a fun video. A lot of people requested it because we did the top 10 worst things Link has ever done, the top 10 worst things Zelda has ever done. We also have the top 10 worst things Mario has ever done. But the Mario video, no one cares about. It's died at like 1,000 views, but the other videos have like 100,000 or whatever. So anyways, you can go watch those videos if you would like. But this is the Zelda mailbag where we answer Zelda questions submitted by you. So if you would like to submit a question for our next Zelda mailbag, leave them in the comments below. You can join our Discord to leave your questions on there. You can follow us on Twitter where you can ask us there. But to guarantee your question to be featured on the show, head to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, like a lot of other people did, except for this week. None of the Patreons asked questions that I'm aware of.
I think our patrons are getting lazy.
Oh my gosh,
Gotta take advantage.
The live chat is filled with questions.
I
right
know.
now.
I just pasted a bunch into our Discord chat so that way we can find them.
All right.
Also, I can't edit the Google Doc apparently, so I'm just putting it in the Discord chat too. Yay! I'm gonna just fix my light here though.
All right, so The first question, the first person to ask a question that I can see is... Well, I guess this is the second person. Nintendo World asks, Game Over Jesse, what do you think a Zelda with a brother and sister, Linkle, like Melee and Linkle, is ranged? Okay, Link is Melee and Linkle is ranged. You can switch between them as you wish. So there was a Zelda game where Link already had a sister. Her name was Errol. It was the Wind Waker. I've said many times my perfect idea for a Zelda game to have multiplayer, like you're talking about, because Al Numa has stated many times that he wants to make a full 3D Zelda game that was multiplayer. Originally, Zelda Wii U was supposed to have some sort of multiplayer with it, but that ended up coming into Breath of the Wild that we know. But essentially, think back to Wind Waker, Arrow comes and wakes Link up. So reset all of that, or have another game that starts out a similar way to where Link has a sister. But the game starts out, instead of Arrow waking Link up, Link and Arrow are both asleep in their bedroom. And your grandmother comes in to wake you guys up. And just like Pokemon, it asks you, are you a boy? Are you a girl when you first start? So this game would begin with Link's grandmother saying, wake up, and then whatever you put as your name. So if you put Link, Linkle, Jesse, Kayla, Ilya, Daniel, whatever you put as your name, it would say, wake up, Link. And then you could choose if Link is the boy on the left side of the wall, or if Link is the girl on the bed on the right side of the wall. And then once you wake up, that's who begins the adventure. But for multiplayer, like the second player can play as the second person. Or you can alternate between the two. So it literally just gives you the choice. Do you want to play as a boy? Do you want to play as a girl? It doesn't matter. The story's going to stay similar. The only thing that's going to change is people are going to say he instead of she. And then the canon ending could be that just they both work together to overcome whatever the evil is. That way, whether you play as the boy or the girl, doesn't matter, because in the end, in the canon, just as we talked about with Majora's Mask, everything happens. So the boy saves the world, the girl saves the world, they work together to save the world, which doesn't ruin the canon. Al Numa himself and Miyamoto himself have said that they've wanted to make a Zelda game with a female hero. Initially, A Link to the Past, or Zelda 3, was supposed to have a female hero. It was supposed to be multiplayer, where you played as 3 separate characters. Like, one was an elf boy, one was a magic user, I think, and then one was a fairy. Yeah. The fairy was a female. So, from the very beginning, Zelda 3, A Link to the Past, was originally intended for you to be able to play as a female. So for people saying Nintendo would never do it, or it would ruin the Zelda series, like that was the original intentions from the third game in the series. So, and then with like Pokemon, Mario, a bunch of other games, Nintendo's been more lenient on allowing you to play as a girl. Like in Super Mario 3D World, you could play as Peach, and that's a traditional-ish Mario game. So yeah, like that's just my thought on that. But what about you guys? After my long explanation, would you want to be able to play as like a different Link, Linkle, or whoever? Kayla?
You raised your hand.
I don't know if you were raising or pointing to Ilya. So.
Well, Ilya is technically down there.
Okay.
So, on the topic of like if Link had siblings and stuff, and Twilight Princess being one of my favorite Zelda games, where's Link's wolf pack?
His wolf pack?
Yeah, wolves don't.
Yeah.
Wolves are not solo.
That's why they have the
a wolf
term
pack.
lone wolf.
But Link doesn't strike me as a lone wolf type of person.
That's
Depends which
why.
game. Which Link? I think Ocarina of Time Link does.
Like
I
Force
don't
Words,
think Wind Waker.
Triforce
Force
Heroes,
Words definitely. Those ones definitely.
Twilight Princess. He has the group of people that like occasionally come in and help. One of them has a rocket launcher. I think that would have been a lot more useful early on in the game.
That's all I had. I just cared about Link's wolf pack.
Link's wolf pack. So it would be a female wolf. A female Linkle wolf.
Yeah, a Linkle.
He's drinking out of the dirty
Yes.
Fortnite cup.
No, I washed it. My wife brought me.
You can
cold
never
water.
wash out.
Aww.
You can never wash out the grossness that was in the Fortnite
the
cups.
horrible things that happened. And no, it was the Fallout cups. That's where the true.
Oh yeah, true.
But
Does it still change color, or was the?
it does when it's cold.
Okay.
This water
So
is
he's drinking warm water.
room temperature.
Gross.
No, that's how I like it. I like it just room temperature.
Your
Like,
face.
it's like not hot, not warm, but just like, you know, like
Goldilocks.
It's better for your body if you drink at room temperature.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Anyways,
Yeah,
one of you two,
Wolfpack.
siblings.
Ilya.
Ah, Ilya.
Okay,
Ah,
can someone rearrange the question to clarify for me? I think I'm confused as to
How
what they're asking.
you like Link sibling sister and one has sword, one has bow? You like? Yes.
Yeah, so it essentially says Link and Linkle. Link plays with melee.
I think
Linkle
I
is
explained
ranged.
it perfectly.
I wouldn't want it to be like a canon timeline game, as weird as that sounds, because like,
So
quite
like
honestly,
a
and I
sequel
don't-
to Link's crossbow training is what you want.
I don't know if I would want it. Like, that's the thing. I don't.
Link's
like, I feel
Pocket
like-
Camp.
Yeah,
Hyrule Pocket Camp.
they've
Yeah.
seen
like,
Zelda
I would
games.
play it, but the thing is, like, the reason I haven't played Hyrule Warriors is because I'm not spending my money on it. I think because I'm such a snob about I want story and everything, even though I know that's a priority for me. When I first heard about Linkle, I was like, this is a disgrace, whatever this is. And it bothered me. I think I'm too traditionalist and nostalgic, and I'm weird about it. So I personally wouldn't buy it myself. I'd play it if someone else offered it to me.
Fair.
But that's
I think
just
if
me.
you're gonna go out and buy it now, definitely get the definitive edition.
Yeah,
Just
you almost made her
because-
spit the water out.
Oh, sorry.
So you said definitive edition.
Definitive edition.
Yeah,
I'm just saying because the DLC that'll mess you up, man.
yeah. So Daniel,
So-
what is your thoughts on this? And then you can pick your question.
Great, guys! I'm so excited. Okay, I always like options, character customization, things like that, because it makes replayability and like subsequent playthroughs a lot more interesting because you can, play through the game, say as Link with your sword, and play through it again using the other character who has a bow or something. Like that would be really cool. I am also never against them trying new things with Zelda. Many of the best Zelda games have had them trying new things, which is always good. Including Breath of the Wild was all about them trying new things. They made a whole game about it, about them doing something different. So if they wanted to change it up, like when there were rumors pre Breath of the Wild actually about being able to choose a male and
Remember
female
that.
Link. There were those rumors, and so many people were so butthurt about it and so like against it and just like, no, Link's a man, even though I feel like that's so irrelevant because Link is literally a different character in most games.
Al Numa had the interview where he said that they, like in Twilight Princess, they purposefully made him look like a strong male character, but in Breath of the Wild, they wanted him to look like it could be a girl or it could be a boy. Like they wanted like female players to be able to connect with him, so they made him a male, but a very feminine looking male, was Al Numa's word. Like they went out of their way to purposefully make him look more feminine.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's also Al Numa's a bit of a troll too, so that doesn't help. But just like in interviews and stuff, I think that I'm always down for it to try new things in Zelda and to see what they want to do next, and if they can take away Link's green tunic and you can play the game and it doesn't matter that that's gone, then like that's a big thing that people were like, this just won't be Zelda without it. And you know what? It was Zelda. And it was great. So yeah, I don't feel particularly strongly either way. I won't be upset if they do it. I won't be upset if they don't. So that's all I gotta say. Okay, so next question. Let's see. Oh, my phone is heckin' vibrate.
Heckin'.
Trying to go through these questions and grab one that maybe we haven't really answered before. There's a lot of questions where we get it, and it's like we've talked about that kinda. So, message retracted. Oh, that's not.
That's a nice question, eh?
Okay, I actually like this question because this sort of idea originates from a McIntyre video from OG McIntyre pre-leaving his channel. Michael Swansondo asked
That
us.
was the one I was looking at.
Oh, it's a good question. Do you think there is any connection to Midna calling Wolflink a divine beast in Twilight Princess, and the ancient Hyrule calling their machines divine beasts in Breath of the Wild? So, no, I do not. But I like the idea that it could be connected. The idea that the Twilight race, however you want to pronounce it, I always say Tweely, had these legends of divine beasts, and that being something that the Sheikah had created, their technology. Although the Sheikah, I think, like those were created after Twilight Princess personally, but like the connection in that fine detail fascinates me. I like the idea of it. I just don't know what that connection could logistically actually be, but freaking my phone needs to shut up.
So in Twilight Princess they also have guardians. They have like the same type of neon lights going through them. The puzzle where you have to complete the puzzle to get the Master Sword, those two statues are guardians. And I think the scary people that chase you down, the scary people that chase you down in Skyward Sword are also guardians, I believe.
Yes, that's true.
So it could just be a case of Nintendo liking to reuse the same term over and over.
Very much could be.
Oh, sure.
The translators just that being kind of part of their vocabulary. Sometimes when people work on the same project, you can kind of see their writing style or something kind of carry through. So it could very well be that. Yeah, Ilya seemed very excited about this, so I want to hear what you have to say regarding this.
I was more or less, I think, gonna say something very similar. It's like, do I think the developers had any connection? No. It wasn't. But if you want to get like your imagination going, it's like, oh, well, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called. The horse thing that you get after doing the DLC in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, the horse armor?
The motorcycle.
Like armor? Oh, the motorcycle. Vroom vroom. The Master Cycle 0.
Master Cycle. Thank you.
Obviously means Mario Kart is canon to Zelda.
Well, I was thinking, I could have sworn I heard somewhere that there was the possibility that Master Cycle 0 was originally planned to be possibly a wolf. Which I was like, oh, so that was like his own divine beast, and maybe it was named after, like, obviously it's not. But I was like, oh, if you get your imagination going, it's I thought that was a good question, because I was like, I'd like to think about that. There's a lot of interesting, totally not realistic theories behind it, but I like it.
That's the thing, it totally gets kind of like percolating and up in the brain, but I don't know if there's any real way that. Kayla, who you talking to? You got the hot goss.
What?
It's my dad.
Fill me in on the sweet gossip.
He was watching the podcast and he just called to tell her she
My
was
dad
alert.
didn't want to text and drive, so he called me to respond to my text.
Oh, my mom does that all the time. It's really annoying.
I
love you, mama.
Yeah. Alright, so
my mom would take that initiative.
Kayla, Ilya, which of you would like to pick the next question?
Me.
Well, I have to find a new question.
Did
So,
Kayla
thanks,
answer this
Daniel.
question?
Oh.
Cat.
My answer to that question is I don't think Nintendo intentionally did that, But I think that they have a common theme of wanting to reuse terminology from game to game, just so it seems like there's more of a link between them all.
A link between games.
A link between games. Okay, so this one comes from Nintendo Talk because they were watching earlier. They want to know how many playthroughs we've done of Breath of the Wild, and I'd love to have Rick on for this question because I don't even know what's happening with his playthroughs.
Okay, with Rick's save file, we were hanging out at our suite in LA. So many stories that came out of this trip. Okay, we're hanging out, and Rick just plops his dock in and starts playing Breath of the Wild, and we're all just hanging out and talking. And I'm looking at his
dock.
play. Yeah, he just plops the Switch in the dock. You know what I'm words. Anyways, he puts the Switch and he's playing on the TV. And there's a few details I noticed. First of all, he's wearing the Tingle outfit. So first, already I have a lot of questions. For some reason, he has no shields, no arrows, and just like a general lack of equipment. He's running around in just the Tingle outfit with just the Master Sword. And I'm just like, what is happening right now?
And I don't even think it was like a brand new like playthrough.
Oh no!
It for a couple of hours.
He had either
in the
he had
chat.
2 hearts and his stamina was maxed out, so he had done all the shrines. And I was just like, Rick, if you're still watching this, man, I have still so many questions. So many questions.
Oh, Rick noticed that we called him out.
Oh, sorry, Rick. That's RMFH, guys. He probably, logistically, I'm guessing he did it to record footage for something. But what that something is, I'll never know until he puts it on YouTube. So yeah, how many playthroughs? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Say
Okay.
0.9 or 0.8.
Jesse, finish the game. You need to go.
I have yet to defeat Ganon on my own.
Wait, Jesse, what's happening to your microphone?
What?
Jesse.
Can you not hear?
Jesse, come home.
Hello?
Come home, Jesse.
Blue.
Oh, I would
Come back
love to
to
see
us.
RMFH wearing a Tingle outfit in real life. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, he wasn't sitting in our suite wearing it and playing Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
He was playing Breath of the Wild, and he had Link wearing the Tingle
I
outfit.
did not need that image in my head.
Yeah. Okay. So with me, I have like done all of the stuff that you need to do in Breath of the Wild. I've just not beat Ganon, or I've done almost everything you can do in the game, but I've not beat Ganon.
Okay.
My little
Why?
brother, he would play on my save file before he played on his own, and like I had all the 4 of the Divine Beasts already done, so like I could just go to Ganon whenever I wanted. And when my little brother was playing, he went and he beat Ganon, and I just watched him. And then after watching him, I just had no passion to go kill Ganon myself. So I've just been roaming around Hyrule.
Come on, Jesse. My 5-year-old beat Ganon.
Yeah.
True story. So I was very proud of him.
I was so like impressed when Daniel told me that. He was like, "Yeah, my son's 5 and he beat Breath of the Wild." I was like,
I was
"What?"
like, yes, this kid is nuts. He also beat Odyssey, so he's like my prodigy child, but like for gaming, you know, like
Wow.
Beethoven was a prodigy child for music. He's, anyways. I have only played through Breath of the Wild twice. Once on normal mode, once on master mode. And between the two, according to my Switch, that is 495 hours of playtime. And I don't regret a single minute of it. So I'm thinking about playing through it again though. Just because every it starts like creeping up in the back of my head, and it's like this little voice that's like, play Zelda. Some Zelda. And I'm like, oh, but I gotta finish this other game I'm playing, and as that voice keeps coming back, play Zelda, you know. So
It doesn't specifically tell you which Zelda. It just says play Zelda.
no, so I'll get like a little like like a hankering one. So like when I went to play Wind Waker, it's because I like had a song. I had like the Dragon Roost Island song stuck in my head, and I had got a little nostalgic. And I just got that hankering to play Wind Waker. That's actually usually how it happens. Is I'll be working on a video or something,
Ow.
and I'll be going through Zelda music, and then I'll be like, I want to go play it, and then I'll go and play through the game.
Oh, that's me with
Mhm.
Mario Sunshine. Every time I'm playing Mario Kart and I see the bloopy dudes, I don't
The
remember what they're called. The bloopy dudes.
Pinatas. No, they're not pinatas.
No, they're not pinatas.
No, what are they called? It has a P in
But yeah,
it.
I don't know. But anyways, anytime I see the bloopy dudes, that's why I call them bloopy dudes. 'Cause I always forget their
Bloopy
names.
dudes.
But yeah,
That's
whenever
what
I
it
see
sounds
them
like
in
they're
Mario,
saying. Bleep, 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 bleep.
yeah, right. But yeah, whenever I
All I
see
know
them
is
in
the
Mario
Yoshi
Kart, I feel
drums
like
are
I
the
need to play it.
best. That video you sent me with the Yoshi drum. Anyways, Yoshi drums are the best. Ilya, how many times have you played Breath of the
Well, first of all, now I have the Delfino Island theme stuck in my head. Fine. Honestly, the moment I put in Mario Odyssey a few days ago, that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, because that's the last like main Mario game I've played. Sunshine. I'm sorry. I have played through Breath of the Wild 0.8 times.
Finish the game, Ilya.
Because
Point
okay,
eight.
here's the thing. I didn't get it till December, like when I came home, like halfway
Mhm.
through December, because we didn't have a Wii U until then. Because
Oh,
my family
wow.
doesn't have money, obviously, and I'm at college. So I played for a little bit, got through 3 of the Divine Beasts. Then I came home for spring break, and I finished the last Divine Beast, Val Nuboris, because I was terrified of doing that one. Also,
Mm.
I almost said something that would have revealed something
Sorry.
about me that I can't
Michael.
reveal on internet. So
Michael Luca.
Michael Luca in the chat says, Yantas.
Sorry, the cat is biting me, and oh my god, that hurt. Why did you do that? Okay, continue.
Piantas. That's what they're called. Thank you, Michael.
yes, thank you.
I don't
But
know
yeah,
why I
right
said
now I'm
pinatas.
trying to make sure I've done all the main quests except destroy Ganon. Like
Okay.
not beat Ganon, destroy
You and
Ganon.
Jesse.
But I
need
haven't
to
done all
both
the
beat this game.
shrines. I want to finish the shrines. I think I have like 15 left. And I want to do most of the side quests, and I don't care about the Korok. I'm doing them, but like I'm not.
I would say
You
just
know.
max out your inventory upgrades.
Yeah,
but
but at this point, I think broken like 120 Korok. That's it, and I'm getting really frustrated. But yeah, so I want to finish the side quests, but I don't think I've even unlocked all the side quests, and I could have sworn I had. So I'm really annoyed. But yeah, so I'm not doing Ganon until I do that, and even then, that's without the DLC.
It's harder though because it's not until after you beat Ganon that you'll unlock that little percentage meter that'll show you how much you've done, and also it unlocks on like the side quest screen. It'll show you. It'll be like a counter, like 72 out of 80. Like it'll show you how many you've done. So I thought I had finished all the side quests until I beat Ganon, and then I saw this huge number of side quests I had missed. So I went back and fully discovered Laurelin Village for the first time. So, just
Wow.
on my first playthrough, I totally went a lot of time without even realizing this whole village. And someone mentioned Laurelin Village, and I was like, "What in the heck?" And
That's like my favorite
and then
village
I
'cause
found
feel
it.
so
I was
peaceful
because I was
there.
looking for shrines.
That is so sad. But
Yeah,
once
so
I do finish this run of Breath of the Wild, I will save up money to get it on the Switch. Hopefully, this sounds terrible, but a used one that I can get for cheaper, and then get the DLC and do it on Master Mode. Is my plan.
nice.
So I
Yeah, I don't
haven't
think you
finished it.
actually-
I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't think you finished answering, Kayla, and I was rude. I'm sorry.
What was I answering?
Did you answer? You didn't answer. You've
I
been talking
didn't
about
answer.
music,
I was
but-
basically being bitten by my cat.
Meow.
I have beaten it a total of once.
You're better
And
than these two.
That's
so-
like I haven't
Yeah,
done
by,
any
like,
DLC.
0.2%.
I just did shrines and Koroks. I've been trying really hard to play it again, and like I always kind of like pick it up and like I'll do like a shrine or something and then I put it back down. But long story short, like I beat that game with someone when it first came out, and playing it now just doesn't really like feel the same, so I'm having a hard time getting back into it. So eventually.
Soon. I'm gonna play it again. That's what I've just decided just now.
Good.
No, I should finish. I'm playing through Tropical Freeze. and I'm also trying to finish the campaign for Splatoon.
But
so I
you've
can do
beaten
the
Tropical
Octo
Freeze like 4
expansion.
times, so you can give up on that.
I've beaten it twice. I'm on my
Oh.
3rd playthrough. So, no, it's good. I love Tropical Freeze so much. Oh, so many good games. What's our next question, everybody? Who's picking a question?
I think it's me.
Ilya.
Ilya.
Yeah.
I can choose.
Okay.
Come on.
From our Google Doc, Michael Swanson for the bag. Oh, okay, I get it. I was like, why is his name for the bag? For the mailbag.
You know, for the bag.
I'm like, what? It's a 2-part question. What's your favorite side quest in the series, and what's your favorite side quest from Breath of the Wild? Which I think if I had more time to think on it, I would probably come up with a different answer, but as super cliche and not original at all sounds, my favorite in the series is the Anjou Cafe side quest because of the story. Breath of the Wild is actually probably a tie between the Leviathan Bones ones, because I feel like that really sums up how fans look at the series and the timeline, because they all have these different theories about where the Leviathans died or originated from, but they all are right.
The CDI games.
No.
Hey, leave.
No.
I think
But
we answered this
also, my
question
other
in
favorite
the
side
last-
quest would be the Terrytown one from the ground up, obviously.
That's
but-
good. I think we answered this question the
Did
week we
we?
had Gibbs on the podcast.
Oops, I must not have been
Because
watching.
I think he chose Terrytown as well.
Sorry.
Gibbs, I know you're watching this. Gibbs, did
Yeah,
you
Gibbs.
you remember
Gibbs.
this
Did we
question?
answer this question? I wasn't here for that, so.
I went to the Google Docs, so I don't know.
Oh, just don't trust that. Just don't trust that Google Doc.
Fine.
Yeah, that thing is ancient.
Like, you guys-
I went to
That's
the
okay. It's
bottom
still a
of
good
it.
question.
Yeah.
It's a good question though.
Kayla still
And I
hasn't
don't
answered.
think Kayla was.
so-
Yeah, I don't think Kayla was on. So, everyone, for my answer, you have to go watch the other video where we already answered it.
Okay. I can't think of one that is my favorite from Breath of the Wild, but I did enjoy doing all of the Gerudo side quests. I thought those were really fun, but that's just because I love Gerudo.
Mhm. Kayla. Oh, there we go. Your picture froze and then you were super quiet, so I thought you'd disconnected.
Oh, did my picture freeze? I think I just
It did,
actually
'cause there was,
froze.
there was like motion blur.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's me.
Maybe you're crazy. I
I'll
actually
DM,
can't
definitely.
think. I can't think of another of my favorite side quests. I mean, for the most part, I find that the side quests in Zelda are just weird. Like whenever I think side quest in Zelda, I think like hand in the toilet
Oh yeah.
or that weird child that got kidnapped by a guy who just wanted to have a friend in Skyward Sword.
He wasn't just a guy who wanted to have a friend. He was a demon who wanted to have a friend.
Oh, excuse me, princess.
What is that's the one I chose.
Creepy.
That's the one I chose.
Wait, what?
Yeah, with Batro.
That's creepy.
Yeah, no, because I like it because it opens the door for like all the other side quests. It's like an overarching. It's one side quest to help him, but to help him, you have to do all the other side quests, help all the other people. So it has this
Sure.
overarching thing of like helping. It's good. All right, whatever. Just forget it.
I think Jesse has like entirely clocked out of the podcast, so maybe we should
Yes.
just do one question each.
No, I was actually like
Trying to
retweeting
think.
stuff to get people to watch the podcast.
No, I didn't hear any of that. It was just
What?
I heard
Can you not?
tweet.
connection.
I said
Yes,
I
see,
was retweeting stuff and posting to get people to watch the podcast.
Oh, the podcast.
Yeah, so we all answered one. We can do one to end the podcast with then.
Yeah. Wait, did we all answer one already? Wow, that was fast. Or slow, I don't know.
For us, that was fast.
It was average speed, I'd say.
Oh.
I don't know. Things. I don't know. Sorry.
Alright.
How many
Don't know.
choosing?
We
Jesse,
just
choose a
picked
question.
one to end. Okay.
What's this one about who's our favorite person?
I don't know. I just picked it because, or no, he picked it. Wow.
I would just put it in there. Other than yourself.
Not Zelda related, but.
Ding dong. Ding dong. Oh,
You guys pick a question.
Okay, she gone. Goodbye,
she disappeared.
Kayla. Jesse, why don't you choose the question?
I'm looking.
You're just the host of this show. I'll be a co-host, but you're the host. Jesse's the hosts with the most.
I record things with my voice.
I am a banana.
I am a pear.
No.
What? Why am I not allowed to be who I want, Daniel?
You have to be true to yourself. That's why.
But
Kayla,
I am
that's a nice
pear.
shirt you got there.
Okay, I found a question.
Where did you get it?
Okay, what question?
Okay.
Okay.
Question.
Kayla froze. Okay, there she is.
She's back.
Hello.
The question is from Tim Mullins, who says, Game Over Jesse, Jablima, NSHG Films,
Oh, that's me.
Ilya Rose, if you could interview Aonuma, what is the first question you would ask? Timeline questions don't count.
This is great because we have been asked this question before, and we said timeline questions as our answer. So, not counting that. That's hard. Okay.
I would ask two. May I play Zelda Ura? And what is... And I'm assuming he has to answer these with the truth. So, like,
Right. Okay.
we wish upon the Triforce for him to answer our
Yeah.
questions. So, may I play Ura Zelda, or Zelda Ura, however you want to pronounce it. And what are, or is, every Zelda game that is currently in production going to be in production? Like, maybe they're producing the next Zelda game for Switch, but they have a vague idea of what they want to do for a Zelda game after that. So every game in production, so the next Zelda game, every Zelda game that's going to be in production, so like ideas they have for new Zelda games, whether it's on the Switch or a new console, and every concept or idea for past Zelda games that were canceled without us knowing anything about them. So
Jesse's
pretty much,
cranking out the big guns here.
yeah, so pretty much like everything that could have been and everything that will be. Like
My question
the...
is really embarrassing in comparison.
Okay, yeah.
Mine's embarrassing too.
Would you ride a Yoshi if you had a chance?
Okay, that's a good question to ask him.
That would be mine.
Okay. I feel like if I only got to choose one question, I feel like I would accidentally waste it. Like, you know, in those shows where you have 3 wishes from a genie, and like that you accidentally screwed up. So they're like, okay, you can ask Onuma one question. I walk in with, hi, Mr. Onuma, how are you? And they're like, hey, you're done. And I'm like, no! No!
And to make it worse, he'd just be like, yes.
He'd be like, yes!
Oh no.
No, but actually, what I would want to ask him is, what is it about Zelda or designing Zelda games, working as a developer, that interests you? So, like, what is it about the game design that like keeps his passion, like his jive going?
Well, to be fair, since Twilight Princess, he in interviews he said he's been asking Nintendo if he can work on a game outside of the Zelda franchise, and every
No.
time they're like,
You're the Zelda guy.
pretty much,
You are the
Actually-
Zelda now.
because he worked
He
on
actually
games.
kind of answers it in the encyclopedia.
Oh.
Oh man, I wasted another question
Kind of.
accidentally.
I read it the first day I got it. He sort of answers it.
Good
You have to read it yourself
job,
and be
Daniel.
sure.
Oh no, I wasted it again.
I don't know.
just,
You
know,
have
I
to
made
read the interview.
I
But it's in
do.
the back of the encyclopedia.
Oh, see, I'm just trying to like comb through the whole book, but yeah. Well, dang. I thought this was a good question too.
It is a good question.
Okay,
They asked
my
something
other
similar
question
about
would
like how
be,
do you not
man.
get bored or something with doing the Legend of Zelda over and over again. To that effect.
Yeah. Okay, my question would be, hey man, want to hang out?
Mhm.
And
Yes,
he has
but
to
we're not
say
going
yes.
All right, Ilya, you go
yes,
next.
I want to.
to. Oh, okay. Mine would be, can you, or at the very least, put in a good word with Reggie Fils-Aimé and Nintendo of America? Can you make it so I can, if you continue with voice acting, can I, from here on out, voice someone or something in every Zelda game from here on out?
Wow.
I don't care what it is.
Cat,
You
get
c- you
away.
could-
Cat just
You-
does not care.
You could be the voice of Tingle.
Kula
No,
Limpa. Just
That's
say
the one I
Kula
that's where I
Limpa.
put my foot down.
Say it in your narration voice. Kula Limpa.
Honestly,
Do it.
Tingle
Do
has
it, Elliot. Your job's on the line.
Tingle has some of the most recognizable quotes from any Zelda game. So if you want to be remembered,
Mm-hmm.
Tingle. Or the Splushka.
Fairy.
Well, I quote Patricia Somerset. I'll voice a Korok if you ask me to.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good yeah.
10 out of 10.
Tingle, tingle, Kula Limpa.
Stop.
Say it, Elliot.
No, I actually,
Oh.
no joke. For my German class, I went to my professor because we would have to talk to each other in German throughout the class, and told her, hey, there's this monologue that I memorized in German. I didn't tell her that I looked up the German captions, and she was like, that's
Mhm.
very cool. Do you want to do it for extra credit? And I was like, yes, because I memorized it. What I did is I memorized the memory scene, spoilers, I guess, for anyone, in Breath of the Wild, where they're running through the forest in the rain, in the woods, and she falls. How did this happen? How did this come to pass? I memorized that in German.
Wow.
It sounds really cool in German. And so I did it, and there were like 2 or 3 people in the class that were like, Urbosa? Daruk? Is this from Zelda? And I'm like, shh.
You got outed as a nerd.
Well, I mean, I was also wearing my Zelda shirt that day, one of them, and they were just, you memorized the Zelda
Mm.
monologue? And I'm like, yeah, and
Oh,
Aw.
hell yeah.
That's
Have fun
awesome.
with this.
So my question would be not related to anything at all. I would ask him to read me a bedtime story.
In
In
Japanese?
Japanese?
Yep.
Well, no, he can speak some English. Yeah, I've seen it in
You-
interviews.
can you read me a very broken English bedtime
broken.
story?
Oh.
It would mean the
What?
world to me. But could
Okay,
you
he does have a
imagine
nice
just being
voice,
like,
though, but...
oh, Numa, read me a bedtime story.
Okay, but you can ask him that. Doesn't mean he'll say yes. He'll be like,
He
No.
probably will.
okay, maybe. I don't know. What story would you have him read to you?
Good night, moon.
I was gonna say Good Night Moon. I was gonna yes. Oh, that's
I
a
love Good Night
classic. That's a classic.
Amazing.
Corduroy Bear series. I love Corduroy Bear.
What about Good Night Darth Vader?
Oh, good night, Darth Vader.
I love this book probably more than my kid does.
Hello, Master Atlas. Who do you want to call senpai?
Everyone.
We're all senpai now.
I will be your
Jesse,
senpai.
are you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Jesse, come home, Jesse. Come back to us.
I'm just listening to you guys
Open your eyes,
talk
Jesse.
about bedtime stories.
Open your eyes.
That's my question, and I stand by it.
All right. So
Okay.
that's it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have the German monologue right in my head.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right, see ya. So, Elliot, let's hear this German monologue.
Wie konnte das passieren?
I
I wasn't joking.
No, let's do it.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, just
Wait,
go.
how long is it?
It's not long if I go
Okay,
quick
go.
enough. I'm not acting either.
Okay,
Oh.
just
God,
just
I hope
lay
I
it
don't mess
down.
up. Warum? Wie konnte das passieren? Die Titanen, die Vektor, warum greifen sie uns an? Oh nein, Ganon hat sie unter seine Kontrolle gebracht. Daruk, Rivale, Neva und Urbosa. Sie waren in den Titanen. Es ist alles mein Schuld. Ich konnte das Mast des Siegels nicht erwecken. Und jetzt hat Ganon die Relikte gestohlen, die uns vor ihm schützen sollten. Alles was ich getan habe, es war alles vergebens. Alles was ich getan habe, I don't remember the next part.
Oh, it's okay.
Something. Und jetzt sind alle tot.
Wow. Ilya's so
I missed
cool.
a chunk.
That was amazing.
That was wicked.
Thanks. I missed a giant chunk.
Chunks are for
Can't
ice
remember.
Mm, I want ice
Yes.
cream now. Thanks for that.
I had ice cream earlier. Halo
Oh, I
top.
know.
That
I
stuff's
really
amazing.
want ice cream. Oh.
All right.
Yeah. In
It's bedtime, guys.
podcast. Yes.
Hi.
So thank you everybody for watching. We had 35 to 40-ish people throughout the podcast. So
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks for watching, everybody. I don't
Thank
know
you.
how you sat through.
yeah.
I know. As soon as
I
I'm done, I'm gonna eat.
yeah. I
too.
am Jesse. We're Game Over Jesse on Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube, the Twitch, everything Game Over Jesse. Daniel.
Yes. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptBurgerson, CaptBurgerson. I post ridiculous things, mostly just retweeting Jesse, and apparently lately Chuklima. I also have a website you can go check out. It's called burgersonmedia.com, where I post all of those videos, including the Dragon Break video that we talked about earlier on there, and also there's some royalty-free music if you make your own videos. I'd love it if you'd use it. Just tell me when you do, because I want to watch your video. And also I have my own YouTube channel. If you're watching this live, you saw me in the chat. It's NSHG Films, and it's kind of a shared YouTube channel between myself and my brothers, but I do post my own videos there as well at times. So that's everything I've got to say. Website's probably the best way. Twitter's also good. Thank you, everybody. Who's next?
Koala. I don't know.
Chuklima.
It's just a weird way of saying Kayla.
Oh, okay.
Kayla, koala.
You guys can find me at Chublima. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I have done my first official stream last week, so I might continue doing that if you guys want to follow me on Twitch. You know, give me
Which
some
works
suggestions.
well.
Which games should I play? I was thinking about doing ukulele. But yeah. Thanks for watching.
Ilya.
Oh, yes.
Ilya.
I am on Twitter at Rose_Ilya. I am on Instagram, which I've been posting there more often than I probably should. It's weird. But at IlyaRose_Geek Apprentice. And I officially have 2 YouTube videos up. I post every other Wednesday. So not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. You can just look up Ilya Rose on YouTube. I call myself the Geek Apprentice. But it's not like saying on there. So yeah, I post the geeky, nerdy videos. I've only done 2 thus far. But I have like them set for every other Wednesday for the rest of this year. Well, through the middle of December, because I won't do any around Christmas. But yeah, so I do weird, geeky things, and you can hear my voice on some of Jesse's videos.
Woo.
All right, I guess that's it. Thank you everybody for
All right.
watching.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Click the bye-bye button.